Pirates fishing Saitama Constitution Chapter 1-20. Chapter 1 Start fishing Saitama Constitution. Marine Headquarters. It has been almost a month since Chen Mu came to Pirate World. Today, as usual, he gathered under the command of an unknown colonel. Hey, the other protagonists all started out as gods. How did they become the lowest soldier when they came to me? All disbanded, remember to stick to your posts, and there will be a training session in the evening. The temporary transfer of Marine Squadron was over, and Chen Mu came to the new area for garrison work. Ding! Reach a specific area, the fishing system is activated, the activation package is being distributed, Marine Bait *10. At this moment, a mechanical voice sounded in my mind. Chen Mu looked at the fishing rod that suddenly appeared in his hand. After Vivi was stunned, he immediately walked towards the bait in front of him. Fishing starts. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Saitama Constitution. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining Seastone Bullet Jewel Hole 2. Ding! Congratulations to the host, Door Gem 2 can be inlaid. Ding! Congratulations to the host, Imitation Gem 2 can be inlaid. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting Bailey's 50 million. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting Bailey's 100 million. Open black lens bracket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting Bailey. Close black lens bracket. Saitama Constitution. Chen Mu's eyes lit up, and an uncontrollable ecstasy rose from the bottom of his heart. Chen Mu flexed his arms hard, wanting to appreciate the terrifying muscle power, but it seems to be no different from usual. About the good constitution. As soon as Chen Mu thought about it, a strange card suddenly appeared in the system space, and these many patterns and words were engraved on the card. Chen Mu took out this card and looked at it. It was quite simple, just 3 poses. The prerequisite requirements have been met. Saitama Constitution is activated when the going degree is 0/10. Run 10 kilometers a day, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups. Really big bald teacher. Chen Mu was ecstatic, and the cheerful laughter resounded over the entire Marine headquarters. The laughter subsided, and everyone looked at a seaman recruit inexplicably, and quickly ran around the square of the Marine headquarters. Who is this soldier? Ace of the Whitebeard pirates will be executed tomorrow. If he doesn't stand guard well, why is he running around? Who knows, leave him alone, stand guard, and there will be a boss to deal with him. ... Who? Chen Mu lay on the ground, breathing heavily. Exactly. I'm tired. Let me see how my body changes. Ding! Saitama training chapter is completed. When the going degree is 1/10, the level is increased by 100. Close black lens bracket. Level 100. I saw Ace the other day, as if his level was only 55. Chen Mu frowned in thought. Ace's bounty seems to be 550 million Bailey. 10 million reward equals 1 level. I remember that guy Ka was only 1 billion, right? What the fuck? I have the strength of the card too after a day of training. No, it can't be counted like this. I don't have the kind of hockey that is card 2. But I have a system, ha. One day, sooner or later, I will catch hockey. ... The next day. The 3 Admiral sat at the rear, with the towering execution stand behind him. Ace's hands were tightly clasped by Seastone, and the 2 soldiers with long-handled execution knives beside him looked solemn. Marshal Sengoku stood beside him, only 3 meters away from Ace. At this time, our protagonist, Chen Mu, was wearing a sleeveless seaman recruit marine suit and carrying a military rifle. Unlike other Marines, he still had a flintlock pistol attached to his waist, but it was wrapped in a brown cloth to hide it from sight. Exercise at night, sure enough. I am even more tired, I'm sleepy. Chen Mu and a group of Marine soldiers stood on the square, yawning from time to time, and the sleepiness couldn't stop attacking him. ... Time goes back to the early morning. Chen Mu was pleasantly surprised that his strength had soared to level 100, and lost sleep. But insomnia was not idle. Just after the early morning, he quietly ran out and started the next day's exercise. 10 kilometers around the headquarters and do 100 squats and sit-ups. Ding! Saitama's training chapter is completed. When the going degree is 2/10, the level is increased by 100. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket current level, 200 close black lens bracket. Feeling that his strength increased again, Chen Mu nodded with satisfaction. Just as he was about to return to the barracks to rest, the system's voice rang again. Ding! The task function is enabled, the system rewards are being distributed, and the armed bait is being distributed *3. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting a flintlock gun, Ben Beckman's exclusive weapon, which can be loaded with seastone bullets. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a healing gem 1, can be inlaid. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the Thunderstone 3, can be inlaid. Ice. Good luck still favors me, Chen Mu. It is late at night, so I don't laugh anymore. These seastone bullets and gems are finally useful, hee. Taking advantage of the fact that no one noticed, he hurriedly slipped back to the barracks, sleeping for a while. Unlike the other soldiers who were waiting around him, Chen Mu not only dozed off, but he also quietly synthesized bullets in the system's storage space. Well, now that there are guns, try all kinds of gems. Ding! The synthesis is successful, get imitation bullet 1. Ding! The synthesis is successful, get the door bullet 1. Ding! The synthesis is successful. Looking at the extra special bullets, Chen Mu exited the system space contentedly. Now waiting for Whitebeard to arrive. But then again, do I want to stay in the marine camp all the time? I don't really want Ace to die. Chen Mu is in a tangle. Hee. This way I feel more at ease, this system is still very humanized. But what the hell is this hidden quest? But according to my years of gaming experience, the rewards of hidden quests must be extremely rich, I have to think about it carefully. At this time, at the end of the sea level, huge black ship shadows appeared, slowly sailing out of the thick fog. Appeared. Marine who looked upstairs looked at the fleet that suddenly appeared, terrified. Everyone, get ready for battle. The alarm sounded throughout the Marine headquarters. The Marine soldiers clenched their spears tightly, and the sweat on their foreheads kept sliding down. Chen Mu scratched his head, but decided to take off the long spear behind his back, otherwise he would look too out of place. Dorma the Ranger. Lei Ching Maku Gei. Large vortex spider skewered. They are all captains of the New World, with a total of 43 ships. I haven't found Whitebeard and the captains yet. Marshal Sengoku, with his brows furrowed together, stared at the slowly approaching large fleet with a solemn expression. As the pirate group under Whitebeard slowly approached the port of the headquarters. Gulu gulu, more and more bubbles appeared in the bay within the headquarters. There were ripples in the calm sea. The ripples on the sea surface became more and more violent, and the water in Motobu Bay tumbled like boiling water. A huge black ship shadow appeared under the sea, and it was rushing towards the sea. Wow! The water rushed into the sky, and the Whitebeard pirates appeared in the headquarters. Chapter 2 Luffy bounty soars to 1 billion. It's Whitebeard's Moby Dick. Under the panicked eyes of the Marines, a huge white whale ship emerged from the bottom of the sea and appeared in the Motobu Bay. A tall figure holding a huge long-handled blade slowly walked out of the cabin. Yes, it's Whitebeard. With the appearance of Whitebeard, the atmosphere in Marine's headquarters was suppressed to the extreme. Is my dear son all right, Sengoku? Whitebeard's resounding voice filled the room. Watching Whitebeard been invaded so close to the headquarters, Sengoku was terrified and his forehead gradually covered with sweat. This is a deterrent from the strongest man in the world. At this time, Luffy was rushing over on a warship. Ding! the main quest starts. Save Ace. Reward. First level hockey bait 3. Ding! The side quest is open. Luffy's bounty has exceeded 1 billion. Reward. Straw Hat Pirates Specific Bait 1. The smile on Chen Mu's face froze. Luffy's bounty is only 300 million now, so he wants to go straight to the level of card 2. System brother, are you sure you're not embarrassing me, Chen? Ding! The countdown to the end of the mission. 47 hours and 59 minutes. ... The countdown is still on. I helped Luffy kill Admiral. The reward amount is also on my head. I am not Luffy. Wait, I'm Luffy. Ha 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 ha, I know what to do. Luffy, you have to wait for me. Chen Mu quietly slipped out of the marine soldier camp. Under the shock of Whitebeard, no one would have the time to manage where a seaman recruit went. If I remember correctly, Luffy should be on a warship, but the sea is so big, I don't know where he is going. Ding! The map function is open. Luffy location up right arrow. Oh tilde, I really came to doze off and send a pillow. But how do I get close to a warship at sea? Well, I now have a 1/5 bald constitution, it shouldn't be difficult to run on the sea. After saying that, Chen Mu slowly took a few steps back and took the running position. 1, 2.3, don't care, rush. Chen Mu raised his head and looked resolutely towards the endless sea. He stepped on his feet in a state of power, and the ground suddenly cracked, raising a huge dense fog of dust. And Chen Mu turned into an afterimage, disappeared in place, and galloped quickly on the sea. Oh, ha, really? Hoo tilde. Chen Mu was surprised by his powerful constitution. After being filled with the violent wind, he honestly closed his mouth and buried his head on the road. To catch the sea. Chen Mu looked at the map and found that he was not far from Luffy, so he hurriedly stopped on the sea. His mind instantly sank into the storage space, took out a sea stone bullet, took out the flintlock gun from his waist, and quickly loaded it. Ding! Gun proficiency is turned on, currently 0/100. Close black lens bracket. I didn't have time to pay attention to the new functions of the system, picked up the flintlock gun, and placed the muzzle on the palm of my left hand. Chen Mu turned his head to the side, gritted his teeth fiercely and pulled the trigger. Bang! The gunshot sounded, but the imagined pain didn't come. Chen Mu opened his eyes and spread out his left hand to see that the sea stone bullet had been turned into pieces. At this time, the sound of the system sounded again. Ding! The system weapon cannot cause damage to the host, and the proficiency increases by 0. Close black lens bracket. Chen Mu. What should I do? I can't imitate Luffy now, so I'll finish the egg branch. Just when Chen Mu was in a daze, Luffy and his party were getting closer and closer to him. Oh Luffy, what's wrong with your father? The she-male King Ivankov looked shy, and moved his big face closer. Ace and I are not the same father. My father is a dragon, and Ace's father is Gol D. Roger. It's amazing. You have to keep it a secret, or Ace will be unhappy. Quote exclamation mark. The whole boat was shocked. At this time, Chen Mu, who was galloping from the sea, jumped on the warship of Luffy and his party. Luffy, I'm sorry. Chen Mu raised his head and charged at Luffy. ... Marine headquarters. Crack. Whitebeard stretched out his fists, smashing the air out of the cracks on both sides. The sea shook violently, and the waves were turbulent. 2 huge wave walls with a height of 100 meters slapped the headquarters fiercely. The 3 admirals sitting at the back were expressionless. Kuzan Vivi on the far right raised his eyes, the whole person flashed, and instantly appeared in the sky. Ice Age. The monstrous waves were quickly frozen at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, Whitebeard was the first to attack, and several ice spears shot at Whitebeard. Whitebeard grinned Isho, his right fist slammed into the space beside him, and the crack spread. The ice spear was shattered repeatedly, and the Kuzan elemental ice drive was also shattered and smashed to the sea. Crack clap. Kuzan is the center. The sea quickly froze, turning the entire marine bay into a huge ice surface. The frozen sea was just right for everyone to fight, and the pirates jumped off the boat and rushed towards Marine. Just as the two sides were about to fight, a figure fell from the sky and smashed heavily between Marine and the pirates. Countless shattered ice blocks splattered wildly around. Marine generals and the captains stopped one after another, protecting their arms in front of their eyes to block the many bursting ice blocks. Everyone on the battlefield waited with bated breath, and as the ice fog dissipated, that tyrannical figure slowly appeared in front of everyone. It's the Straw Hat Boy. Both combatants were taken aback. Ace on the execution platform was shocked, looked at his silly brother in disbelief, and shouted, "Luffy! What are you doing here? Go quickly!" Garp, who was sitting cross-legged on the side, opened his eyes and looked at the taller figure, trembling slightly, trying to control his breath. This made Sengoku Vivi frown, and looked over with a slightly worried look. Luffy slowly straightened his body and walked out of the ice crater unhurriedly. Marines in front of him, he spat to the side, which was mixed with a few stone chips. The time limit is only 10 minutes, I have to hurry. At this time, on the sea, a group of prisoners in prison uniforms were pushing a wooden board hard and slowly rushing towards the battlefield. Luffy bent his feet slightly, stepped hard, turned into an afterimage, and charged towards the 10 Vice Admiral in front of him. 5 who participated in the Enies Lobby Buster call stepped forward and looked at Luffy coldly. Hee, a little mouse who ran away, dared to show up, it's really courting death. Vice Admiral the mole twitches in the corners of his eyes, feeling offended. The fierce-looking Vice Admiral, Onagumo, took the lead in drawing the knife, narrowing his eyes, and locked on the Luffy, who was rushing in quickly. At the same time, the long black hair floated up and twisted into 7 strands. Roll up the remaining 7 blades and wait for Luffy to arrive. Is bound to give this escaped rat a fatal blow. Other Vice Admiral watched with indifference. A teenager whose bounty just exceeded 100 million dared to face their 10 Vice Admiral directly. The sharp blade in Onagumo's hand slashed violently, and Luffy's rushing figure was blocked by one of them, and his body was also stunned. Luffy's lunge came to a stop, his right arm ran across, catching Onagumo's slashing blade. Hey, ignorant brat! Onagumo Vice Admiral snorted coldly, and the 7 sharp blades wrapped in his long hair instantly slashed at Luffy. Chang! Several golden and iron voices sounded. Seeing Luffy in front of him unscathed, the smile on Onagumo's face froze. Huh, Vice Admiral, that's all. Luffy raised his head, licked his lower lip, and said disdainfully. Then, he suddenly squatted down, stepped on his left foot behind him, turned counterclockwise against the ground, and swept the legs of the person in front of him. Onagumo lost his balance in an instant, and his body was forced to be in the midair. Before his body could fall, Luffy, who had already rotated a circle, bent his right elbow to charge up, and then punched out. At the moment when the fist and the cheek touched, a violent wave spread instantly, followed by the sound of bone cracking, and a burly headless corpse rushed into the sky. The fluctuations caused here once again attracted the attention of everyone present. Other 9 Vice Admiral trembled inwardly and fell silent. This battle has just kicked off, and they lost a Vice Admiral in an instant, which made everyone not surprised. Bang! A headless corpse fell heavily on the ice from a high altitude, and everyone on the battlefield woke up instantly. Marshal Sengoku gnashed his teeth and looked at Luffy. Before the official battle between the various divisions began, another grandson of Garp made a ruthless shot, and instantly took the life of a Vice Admiral. Ignoring Garp beside him, Sengoku instantly turned into a golden giant Buddha and smashed Luffy with a savage punch. Bang! Whitebeard flashed in front of Luffy in an instant, his left fist slammed into Sengoku, and a more violent wave spread. The 9 nearest Vice Admiral, with their arms in front of them, retreated rapidly, plowing long traces on the ice. See you la 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 la. Whitebeard's characteristic laughter sounded. Sengoku, if you want to do it, hit me. Sengoku glanced at Whitebeard angrily, and wanted to withdraw his golden fist. In an instant, the mutation protruded. Luffy flashed out from behind Whitebeard, his eyes were boiling with fighting intent, and his left fist, which was fully charged, slammed into Sengoku's golden wrist. Crack! The sound of metal shattering sounded. Sengoku was in pain, quickly retracted his arm, covered his wrist with his left hand, and stared fiercely at Luffy. Whitebeard was also surprised. He didn't expect this kid to break Sengoku's golden body. Kula la 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 la, you are Ace's brother, right? Don't worry about it here, go save my son. Whitebeard looked at Luffy and laughed heartily. Then, with his right hand, he slammed Kong Yun's heavy pestle onto the ground, and a circle of invisible waves spread out, brushing up the white robe behind him. Luffy raised his eyebrows and sneered, Martial Marine, that's all. You. Sengoku was out of breath and was about to punch again, but a familiar cough came to his ears. Humph. Sengoku glared at Garp angrily, then turned and walked towards the stand behind San Admiral. At this time, Luffy adjusted his breath slightly, separated his feet from Vivi, and stored up his energy. Kacha kacha, the sound of ice cracking sounded, and Luffy disappeared in the blink of an eye. What a fast speed! Everyone was shocked. The 9 Vice Admiral who had just woken up from a dream turned around and looked at the execution platform in unison. That's right, in just a moment, Luffy has jumped to the execution stand. There was a flash of surprise in Garp's eyes at first, but then a deep worry followed. He is a hero, but he is also an old man, a poor old man who is about to lose his grandson. He didn't want to lose 2 grandchildren in one day. A flash of determination flashed in Garp's eyes, and he punched out, hitting Luffy's head hard. Luffy Vivi tilted his head and looked at the grandfather in front of him, feeling that the hero Garp was much older at this moment. Although he had a good impression of this old man, in the face of the fierce fist, he subconsciously raised his fist to meet him. Just as the two were about to meet, Vivi, Garp's strong body, shivered, brushing past Luffy's fist, losing his original aim. And this slight change caused Luffy's heavy punch to hit Garp's chest hard. Garp spewed blood, and his body flew upside down quickly. Third chapter in the pirate world, Am I Actually Seasick? The defeat of the hero Garp caused quite a shock to the Marines present. Everyone was worried about Garp. They were also secretly frightened by the combat power of the Straw Hat. This is not the strength of an ordinary supernova. ... Ace stared at Luffy in astonishment, unable to believe it. Is this still the younger brother who needs his own protection? Garp, who was unconscious in the stone wall. Tears burst from the corners of his eyes, and he lost his voice. Grandpa. And Luffy stared blankly at his fist. At this moment, Luffy's whole body began to flash with strange colorful lights. When the light on his face faded, the face that originally belonged to Chen Mu was revealed. Oops, the time limit is up. Chen Mu was shocked, and hurriedly took out a new, imitation fruit bullet, from the system space, placed it between his teeth, and bit it hard. As the jaws closed, blue stone chips and shimmering gem fragments were scattered on the execution platform. Feeling that his face changed back to Luffy's, Chen Mu took a heavy breath. And what happened at this moment was only noticed by one person. Granny Crane in the distance frowned, staring at Luffy's profile, lost in thought. ... Sengoku paled in shock, looking at Garp, who was in a coma, no longer holding on to the formation, but turned into a golden giant Buddha again, and shot out brazenly. The huge golden fist slammed into the execution platform at an extremely fast speed. Whitebeard was shocked. The old guy Sengoku was really angry. He rushed to help, but to no avail. Kizaru Kuzan joined forces and blocked it for a moment. It was at this moment that the huge golden Buddha fist had descended on the top of Luffy's head. Luffy had already sensed Sengoku's attack in advance, but Sengoku was too close to turn around and flee with Ace. At a critical moment, Luffy pounced on Ace, pulled out the flintlock pistol from his waist with his right hand, aimed at the giant golden fist in front of him, and pulled the trigger. As soon as the bullet came out of the chamber, it hit Sengoku's giant fist head-on. However, the violent collision as imagined did not happen, and a giant round door opened instantly in the air less than 2 meters above the execution platform. Luffy hee isho, and jumped into the space round door in an instant. Everyone in the battle was stunned. This is Marshal Sengoku personally letting Ace and the Straw Hat Kid go. Time goes back to the eve of the war. Chen Mu rushed to the warship of Luffy and his party. Surprised to find that he couldn't be selected by the special effects of Seastone's bullet, he put the bullet in his mouth and chewed it. At this moment, the system prompt sounded. Ding! The imitation bullet takes effect. The duration is 10 minutes, and the timer starts after the first use. Close black lens bracket. Chen Mu was overjoyed by the sudden sound of the system prompt. As soon as his feet stepped on the sea, he jumped onto the warship in an instant. When everyone reacted, they dodged in front of Luffy, put their right hand on top of his head, and pressed down. Smashed Luffy under the deck, and fell into it along with himself. Then the entire hull collapsed and everyone fell into the sea. When everyone surfaced and lifted the unconscious Shemale King and Luffy onto a giant wooden board, Chen Mu had already disappeared without a trace. Since Ace's execution platform was too close to the 3 Admiral's location, it was easy for Chen Mu to jump on the execution platform, but it was indeed a difficult problem to take people away under the 3 Admiral's eyes. After all, Chen Mu is currently only level 200. The strength is similar to the Emperor's deputy, 1 Admiral can consider playing, but 3 are. Although Saitama constitution can't be compared according to common sense, he still chooses to be steady and put the fruit's bullet into the pistol in advance, and this is the scene of Sengoku Gate of Opening. Originally, this bullet was reserved for Garp, but I didn't expect that this old man was so eager to protect his calf. He didn't even say the opening remarks and directly confronted him. He didn't have time to draw the gun. Fortunately, this guy Sengoku is easy to get on. Luffy carried Ace and jumped into the strange space of fruit. As soon as he landed, he was about to run forward. But there was a warning sign in his heart, and he turned to one side, and Ace was thrown into the distance by him. It's Admiral Akainu. Akainu, who had been watching the execution platform, was surprised by Sengoku's actions, but he would never allow Roger's son to escape. When he jumped into the round gate, Akainu's arms had been elementalized and turned into rolling lava, rushing towards the 2 figures inside. And then there's the scene where Luffy rolls to dodge. After Akainu came in, the round door behind him disappeared. As far as Chen Mu's current gunnery proficiency is concerned, it would be good for a person of Sengoku's strength to change his fruit ability forcibly for 5 seconds. Marine Headquarters Battlefield. Whitebeard, who came back to his senses first, waved his left arm, knocking back Kizaru and Kuzan, and dodged back to the boat. Kira la, sons, come back when you've had enough. Major division leaders quickly got rid of Shichibukai and the other vice admiral, and returned to the ship, and they were about to evacuate. In the flickering space. Luffy got up slowly and looked at Admiral Akainu coldly. Akainu stared coldly at Luffy without saying a word. The two took half a step back at the same time, their legs bent and charged, and the battle was about to break out. Suddenly, the entire space shook slightly. Luffy's eyes widened suddenly, and a sense of dizziness entered his mind. Come back. The first time he set foot on Luffy's warship, he experienced a brief dizziness, so after he pressed Luffy into the deck, he slammed down with his left fist, completely destroying the hull, and the dizziness in his mind just disappeared. But now this dizziness is coming again. Chen Mu knows that this space is probably in a cabin. Dizziness was getting heavier and heavier, and Luffy's face gradually became pale. He knew that he couldn't hold on any longer. The right fist is charged high, and the ship is about to be smashed. At this critical moment, the hull swayed again. Luffy slumped to the ground with his back against the wall of the boat, clutching his hair with both hands, trying to control it. Akainu Vivi frowned, wondering what the hell Luffy was up to. But with the slight sway of the boat, Luffy also fell down, and without hesitation, he rushed forward with his fists. At this time, Luffy was completely powerless. The dizziness continued to increase, and there was no way to charge back. Akainu was even close, and he was about to hit Luffy. Ace stepped out and blocked in front of Luffy. The fist with billowing smoke penetrated Ace's chest, and the lava slowly slid down his body. Ace smiled miserably at Luffy, opened his mouth, but couldn't make any sound. No, Luffy's eyes were splitting. Back then, his brother Chen Mu also protected him like this. Chen Mu hurriedly grabbed a bullet from the system space, loaded the bullet with muscle memory, and placed it on the lava fist that passed through his chest. The trigger was pulled, a bullet that shone green light hit Akainu's fist, and the lava instantly disappeared, turning into a flesh fist, and then a green light shone on the fist. The wound on Ace's chest began to heal slowly. But Akainu's right arm turned into green dust and slowly dissipated into the air. Ace recovered from all injuries, and even the dark wounds left by the previous battle with Blackbeard disappeared. Ace was stunned, obviously not understanding the current situation. Compared to the restored Ace, Admiral Akainu was miserable. The entire right arm disappeared, his face was extremely pale, and he fell to the ground, clenching his teeth, trying not to let himself cry out in pain. Luffy laughed miserably and leaned on Ace's shoulder. Just before he passed out completely, his right hand touched Ace's back. With his last strength, he squeezed Seastone's handcuffs into a pile of rubble. Admiral Akainu's strength should not be underestimated, and the healing fruit bullet only lasted for 6 seconds. Akainu's entire body, except for his head, turned into billowing lava, smashed through the wall of the ship, and fled outside in a panic. Chapter 4 The world fell black and fat. Ace gave Luffy a worried look, then grabbed Luffy's hands, carried them on his back, and hurried towards the hole where Akainu smashed. On a pirate ship on the outskirts of the bay, the elemental Akainu smashed through the wall and flew towards Sengoku. This change made all the pirates suddenly startled. Their base camp was actually surprised by Marine Admiral. The large vortex spider Squidward watched as his pirate ship was broken out of a huge hole, apparently unable to continue sailing on the sea. From the heart, holding the giant sword, he rushed towards Akainu, who flew overhead. Akainu's face was pale, and his vitality was inexplicably lost, which made him very annoyed, and now he urgently needed treatment. However, at this moment, he suddenly noticed that a figure from below was rushing towards him. Is this a giant vortex spider? Akainu was stunned for a moment, then rolled his eyes and remembered something special. With a pale face, he sneered wickedly, and moved towards the figure below to meet him. Akainu and Squidward fought together in an instant, and the thick black smoke covered everyone's sight. I don't know how the two were fighting. Whitebeard Vivi frowned and glanced, his left hand clenched his fist and was about to shake the two away. However, the burly body suddenly trembled, and the dark wounds accumulated on the body for a long time broke out, and a trace of blood overflowed from the corner of the mouth. Dad! The captains rushed over. Whitebeard waved his hand and stopped everyone who came to help him. This is the dignity of his strongest man. Bay Square. According to the command of the Marshal, the warships in the Outer Bay have reorganized their formations, and each department will meet the enemy at will and prepare to retreat. The phone bugs of the generals of Marine's divisions rang one after another, and the warships that had been surrounding the perimeter slowly began to approach. The face of Marine who have been defeating the pirates believe that the situation is really good at this time. Ace jumped out of the boat hole and landed on the ice. The Luffy behind him gradually got rid of his dizziness and woke up. Where is this? Luffy opened his eyes slowly. Luffy, you're awake, don't worry, I'll take you to Daddy's boat right now. Hearing Luffy's voice, the sad look on Ace's face retreated, and a bright smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. On board. Luffy was startled and hurriedly broke free. Luffy, what's wrong with you? Ace turned around and looked at the younger brother suspiciously. No, there are still companions in the battle. Ace, you go back first, I will come back to you later. Saying that, Luffy stepped on both feet, and the whole person disappeared in place in an instant. Quote ? Although the behavior of his younger brother is a bit abnormal, Ace still chooses to go to his father's side first, so that the loss of the pirates can no longer be expanded. At this time, a group of prisoners on the sea was about to arrive at the headquarters. Fortunately I ran out. If I faint again, I'll miss the time limit. Chen Mu hid behind a stone wall, patted his chest in fear, and exhaled heavily. The straw hat. There was a sound of surprise, followed by the sound of the sword being unsheathed and the bullet being loaded. Chen Mu hurriedly raised his head and looked at the people who suddenly appeared in front of him. Blackbeard. At this moment, a shimmer of light flashed on Chen Mu's body again, the imitation fruit expired, and he completely recovered his true body. But this time, Chen Mu obviously doesn't plan to transform again. Blackbeard's group watched Luffy change people like a conjuration, and they were all dumbfounded. I'll just say, why did the Straw Hat Boy suddenly become so strong, so? Blackbeard was the first to react and walked towards Chen Mu. You are a violent guy, join us. Blackbeard extended a rough hand to Chen Mu. Just as Chen Mu was about to refuse, the system's voice suddenly sounded. Hidden mission triggered successfully. Defeat Blackbeard to get the dark fruit, assist Blackbeard to get the shocking fruit, please choose the host, reward. Close black lens bracket. Chen Mu looked at the scruffy Blackbeard in front of him, the corner of his mouth raised VV, and he instantly punched and slammed it. It's needless to say, I've seen him upset for a long time, teach. The sinister and cunning Blackbeard didn't completely trust the strange Marine in front of him. The moment he launched his attack, his outstretched left hand instantly turned into an upright palm and pressed against his fist. Dark water, Teach sneered, a black vortex appeared in his palm. And Chen Mu slowly raised his head, looked at Blackbeard with contempt in his eyes, and mocked, I am not a capable person. Bang! Violent fluctuations spread, half of Teach's body collapsed into nothingness, and his broken body slammed into the crowd behind him. Blackbeard was elementalized in time, and most of the damage was resolved, but he was extremely sensitive to pain, and suddenly fell to the ground and cried out. At this time, Marine's plan to surround the wall began. A tall iron wall quickly rose to surround the crowd in the square. Under the attack of one after another laser cannon, the pacifist troops officially appeared. Sea current, fall over your shoulders. A huge waterspout crossed the Marine's surrounding wall and fell into the square. Luffy and his party officially entered the battlefield. Seeing the sudden appearance of Luffy, Kuzan and Kizaru looked serious as if they were facing a big enemy. The two Marine Admiral turned their bodies into elements for the first time, and their strongest attack methods also entered the charging stage. Luffy's reappearance caught everyone's attention. Marshal Sengoku was furious and turned into a Buddha, the two admirals frowned, and the Marines took a step back. The situation that had been reversed was deadlocked again. At this time, the center of the battlefield was shrouded in darkness, and everyone looked up, only to see a huge figure that blocked the sunlight and was rapidly descending towards the square. "Hurry up!" The Marine generals woke up in time and shouted loudly. Zantaomaru looked at the huge black shadow that covered the sky, spat bitterly, and gave an order to quickly evacuate the center of the square with the peace troops. Boom! The huge figure fell to the ground, directly smashing the ice surface in the center of the square, revealing the blue water below. Immediately afterwards, several figures fell one after another, landing on top of this huge figure. "It's a huge battleship, Sanyuan Wolf. Those figures are the Blackbeard pirates." Both sides were shocked. How could such a huge giant fall from such a high sky? Minutes passed by. Everyone found that none of the Blackbeards could stand up. "Is it? Look, the sea is dyed red." Pirates returned to the boat in time, watching the sea water beside Wolf quickly turn red, and exclaimed. Chen Mu, who was hiding behind the broken wall, raised Vivi at the corner of his mouth and clapped his hands in satisfaction. "Get it done." Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden task, defeating the Blackbeards. The completion rate is 100%. The reward range is randomly selected. Please wait. Ding! Reward. Special weapon bait 1. Whether to fish immediately. Close black lens bracket. Forget it today, let's keep it together tomorrow. Chen Mu pouted. The bald man's strongest is his fists, and for him to catch any weapon is superfluous. ... Moby Dick. It's Teach. Ace's eyes were splitting, and he was about to rush over to catch him. Whitebeard Vivi frowned, reaching out to block him. It was at this moment that Kizaru appeared on the huge body of Sanyuan Wolf, and he was amazed. It's terrifying. Then he kicked the comatose people to the back one by one, and was handcuffed by Seastone by a group of Marines, and the peace force led by Zantaomaru personally escorted them to impel down. All the prisoners have escaped. What did Magellan do? Zantaomaru glanced at the huge body on the sea with resentment, and was very unwilling to withdraw from the battlefield. ... At this time, Chen Mu successfully made his way around the entrance to the Bay of Motobu. Looking at the towering sturdy surrounding wall, he took a deep breath and stood in a lunge, his flexed right arm tensed. Seriously, really, one punch. Boom! A huge roar resounded throughout the battlefield. The pirates looked back and found that there was dust behind them. Whitebeard Vivi frowned, raised Kong Yunkyut with his right hand, and slashed hard with a few quick spins. A shock wave hit the dust mist, the gravel fell to the ground, a circular giant hole appeared under the towering surrounding wall, and there was a slanting crack above the giant hole. See you la, sons, retreat. Whitebeard stood on the bow of the Moby Dick, turned around, stared at Sengoku and said, Sengoku, let's meet in the New World next time. The left fist shone with white light, and the punch shattered the air in front of him, blocking the attacks of Sengoku and the two admirals. This bastard! Sengoku shook his shoulders violently, gnashing his teeth as he watched the Whitebeard pirates disappear completely at the end of the sea. Kizaru turned his head, looked at Akainu and said, Roger's son Ace, how come the wounds on his body are gone? Akainu turned his head pale, glared at Kizaru hatefully, and did not answer. Kuzan frowned slightly and struck Akainu with a fatal blow. Then how did the seastone handcuffs come off? The straw hat didn't have the key. Akainu's face became even more gloomy, he snorted coldly, and left the place without raising his head. So far, the top war that shocked the world is over. The red-haired pirates just ended their battle with Kaido. ... Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the main task. Ding! The devil fruit system is turned on, get fruit bait 1. Chapter 5 Modified Zanpakuto and Genius, Chen Mu. There was also a small episode on the day the war ended. The pirates under Whitebeard all said goodbye and returned to their respective waters. Only the Vortex Spider Squid remained on the Moby Dick. Squid's pirate ship was destroyed by a Kainu, so he could only go to the next island to buy a new pirate ship, which is understandable for the captains. However, after getting on the boat, Squid always sat silently in the corner and did not communicate with anyone. Even at the same table banquet with the captains, he was taciturn. Looking at Squid's strange performance, Whitebeard Vivi frowned. After all, do you still know? Whitebeard was stuffed with all kinds of transparent rubber tubes, and the liquid medicine kept pouring into his weak body. Ace, Squid, come here. Whitebeard sat on the exclusive giant chair, his slightly closed eyes slowly opened, looking at the two suns in front of him. You go on a mission when you reach the nearest island. Whitebeard's voice only sounded in the ears of the two of them. Ace opened his mouth in disbelief, while Squid glanced at Whitebeard with tears in his eyes. I only have one request, I want you all to come back alive. After speaking, Whitebeard sighed and closed his eyes, making him a little older. Dad, I will. Ace looked serious. Dad. Squid pursed his lips, hiding the tears from his tears, and his eyes looking at Ace were a little less sharp. Next day, Sabayati Archipelago, number 41. After finishing his daily exercise, Chen Mu opened the map, looked for the location where the blue light flickered, and found this special fishing spot. Ding! The special weapon bait was successfully used. Close black lens bracket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining Jinghua Shuiyu, Shikai State. Close black lens bracket. Chen Mu looked at the knife in the space and fell into contemplation. I suspect you are a shady system. Ding! Do you want to destroy this item? Yes, no. Close black lens bracket. No no no. This system is so stingy. Open black lens bracket. Ding. Close black lens bracket. Okay, I'll take it back, can't I take it back? Chen Mu almost cried out of grievance. After the end of the day's war, Luffy traveled a distance on Whitebeard's Moby Dick before being picked up by the Empress Hancock. At this time, on the sea 10,000 meters away from the daughter's country, there were lightning and thunder, and the wind and rain were mixed. Rley, the king of the underworld, swam to his daughter's country in a stormy sea at a very fast speed. At this time, Chen Mu, holding the Jinghua Shuiyu Zanpakuto in his hand, stood on the deck of the warship, looking forward with a proud look on his face. As long as I can hypnotize myself, I can avoid seasickness, ha 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 ha. The thick black clouds in the sky were broken by his laughter, and a ray of sacred light shone on his bald forehead. Someone unconsciously hypnotized himself once again. After the magic transformation, Jinghua Shuiyu is really worthy of the words, special armament. On top of the defeat in the war, although the world government blocked the news to the maximum extent, it still spread all over the world under the deliberate propaganda of the pirates under Whitebeard. On this day, Sanji, who is addicted to women's clothing play, Zoro, who fights baboons, Chopper, who feeds birds, Usopp, a fat house, and Frankie, a gentleman, all received news. The location of the remaining 3 people is relatively remote, and they have not waited for the arrival of the Albatross messenger. Everyone who saw the news frowned. The gap between us and Luffy is that big. Everyone changed their previous attitude and began to practice hard. At this time, Chen Mu's ship had an additional guest. Rley, the king of Pluto. Hey, old man, shouldn't you say hello to me first when you get on my boat? Chen Mu still looked at the majestic sea, leaving only a handsome back to the Hades Rley. Ah, sorry, I thought it was a warship and was about to grab it, so I didn't say hello. The smile on Rley's face was genuine. get on this genius boat, just stay honest. When I get to my daughter's country, this boat will be given to you. Don't be grateful to this genius and disdain it. This marine soldier is also going to the daughter country. Rley pulled his foot back slowly. If our genius, Chen Mu continued to talk for a while, he might be kicked on the back of his handsome head. Ding! Side quest, Luffy billion bounty reached, rewards are being distributed. A special bait with a straw hat appeared in the system space, and there was a flickering light on it. At this moment, Chen Mu's warship and the 9 snake pirates met. ... Sister, a warship was found ahead, and it seems to be heading towards our daughter's country. Luffy, who was sitting on the meat mountain feasting, raised his head and looked at the Empress Boa Hancock full of doubts. Hancock, aren't we going to the Sabayati archipelago to take the Sunny? Ah, Luffy-san is called the concubine's name again, is this the legendary marriage tilde? Seeing that Her Majesty the Queen fell into a peach fantasy, all the girls accompanying her covered their eyes and shook their heads, indicating that they had no face to look at. Hancock! Hancock! Luffy jumped in front of Hancock and shouted twice, holding the big meat in both hands. Hey, what's the matter, Luffy tilde? Hancock blushed, his eyes fixed on Luffy in front of him. Quote. Dang, the 2 people on the warship jumped and landed on the deck of the 9 snake pirates. Surrounded Chen Mu and Rley at the bow. Hancock finally came back to his senses and stared at the 2 with a bad expression. Rley, what are you doing on my ship with a marine and trying to catch Luffy? Before Hancock finished his words, Perfume Femur had already kicked Chen Mu's head. Dua. G tilde. Perfume Femur successfully hit. Chen Mu's head just shook violently a few times, but it was not petrified. How is that possible? Hancock took a few steps back in disbelief, and just fell into Luffy's arms. Concubine is not worthy of you, Luffy tilde. Hancock's shoulders trembled slightly, covering his face and crying bitterly. Huh, what are you talking about, Hancock? Luffy mumbled, chewing on the meat. Quote. Everyone covered their faces again. Luffy, your boat has finished coating. Rley waved Luffy with a smile. When Luffy looked at Rley and was about to say hello, Rley's figure suddenly disappeared and appeared directly behind Luffy. His right hand stretched out instantly, and before everyone could see his movements, Luffy was caught by the back of his neck and lifted up. It made Rley a little confused to control Luffy so easily, his brow furrowed in thought. Rley, what are you doing? Put Luffy down. Hancock is still the same, and before the words are finished, Perfume Femur has arrived early. However, this time, the foot that kicked towards Rley was one more. Chapter 6 The blind box function is open, do you need to recharge 648? Rley leaned back, very lightly dodging the attack of the 2. Luffy also fell down and fell into Hancock's arms. Chen Mu's sidekick failed, and then he turned around and swung the knife with his backhand, all in one go. Rley pulled a sharp sword out of nowhere and moved towards the blade that Chen Mu swung. When Rley slid back a few steps, VV's right hand holding the sword trembling. This man has a lot of strength. Rley was amazed in his heart, but the speed of the attack did not decrease at all. Rley held the sword in both hands and stabbed Chen Mu in the face. His figure was as fast as a lightning bolt. Chen Mu raised the knife sideways and pressed his left hand on the back of the knife, successfully holding off Rley's offensive. The 2 tacitly agreed with Isho, and at the same time drew their knives, swords and retreated. Then the 2 rushed towards each other again, and the stormy offensive started frantically. The sound of the sword kept ringing, and the aftermath of the collision pushed everyone out a few meters. The speed of the 2 became faster and faster, and in the end, only swords, lights, swords and shadows remained within 10 meters. Chang! There was a sound of a heavy sword crashing, and the 2 quickly separated. The black armor on the sword disappeared, and the sword in Rley's hand could no longer maintain its original state, and it was broken inch by inch. And Chen Mu's zanpakuto was still as smooth as new, with a sharp edge. Rley shook his sore wrist, chuckled lightly, and said, "Who are you? You are marine seaman recruit who can't be the lowest in strength." Although he was at a disadvantage, Rley did not have the slightest resentment, because the person in front of him was indeed a strong man worthy of respect. HMPH, stupid mortal, what is the power of this genius for you to say? Chen Mu raised his chin, and Vivi glanced at Rley with an extremely arrogant expression. The self-hypnotic effect of this magic-modified zanpakuto is truly amazing. Hee, are you here to find Luffy too? Rley threw the hilt in his hand to one side at will, walked slowly to Luffy, and looked at Chen Mu with a smile on his face. HMPH, so what, do you still want to teach this genius to do things? Hearing this, everyone suddenly became nervous. Hancock stood in front of Luffy, stroking his lips with his right index finger, slave arrow, ready to go. Ding! The hidden mission is triggered successfully. Become Luffy's teacher, reward. Close black lens bracket. However, Chen Mu was still in the hypnotic state of genius, and didn't care about the sound of this general system at all. Chen Mu snorted coldly and turned his back, as if this genius didn't bother to communicate with you. ... The crowd was speechless. Rley frowned slightly, although he didn't show all his strength just now, but this person still looks like a light-hearted person after the war, which is enough to show that this person is not simple, at least he has star strength. The scene was embarrassing for a while. Second gear, rubber jet pistol. Luffy, who was covered in white steam, shot an extremely fast air bullet and went straight to Chen Mu's back. Everyone was stunned for a moment, even the Pluto Rley couldn't do anything to him. Luffy, you shot decisively. Chen Mu Vivi tilted his head, and the air bullet stuck to his cheek, shooting straight into the distance. Chen Mu turned his head slightly, his icy eyes swept to Luffy, and an invisible pressure spread out. Except for Rley, Luffy and Empress Hancock, all those present fell into a coma. Conqueror. Still a first-class hockey. Rley's eyes widened in astonishment, the smile on his face froze for a moment, his expression extremely surprised. Luffy and Hancock recovered after a brief absence, their faces dignified. At this moment, the 9 snake pirates arrived at the border of the daughter country and slowly stopped at the pier. Chen Mu retracted his gaze, glanced at everyone arrogantly, and jumped off the boat first. Luffy and Hancock jumped down one after another. He's going to teach Luffy hockey. Is it? Garp's arrangement. Rley seemed to have realized the mystery, and Vivi's mouth curled up, leaving an afterimage that instantly appeared in front of Chen Mu. Your hockey is very good. Rley turned around, looked at Chen Mu with a smile on his face, and continued, 2 more moves. Without the slightest warning, Rley's armed left palm turned into a knife shape and slashed towards Chen Mu with lightning speed. Chen Mu flexed his arms, and he was also a top armament hockey. The two were evenly matched again. But this is just the beginning. The figures of the two disappeared in place, turned into 2 black lightning bolts and attacked each other frantically, and the sound of gold and iron resounded throughout the daughter country. After a while, Chen Mu took the lead in appearing from the dust and fog in the sky and slid back dozens of meters. Other hand, Rley, with a smile on his face, just took a step back with his left foot and stabilized his body. The fully armed Rley is like a human weapon, and the whole body is full of killing moves. And Chen Mu was not good at swordsmanship. In these battles, the soul-chopping sword became a hindrance. HMPH, come again. Chen Mu swung the Jinghua Shuiyu in his right hand to the side, and the sharp blade went straight to the ground, leaving only the hilt in front of everyone. Chen Mu twisted his neck, his right hand clenched his fist, the armed black and red color instantly covered him, and he entered the fighting state again. Rley squatted with Vivi on his feet, his black and red arms covered his limbs again, and his expression was extremely serious. top hockey powerhouses was about to break out, and all the onlookers waited with bated breath. Chen Mu moved, and took a step forward with his left foot. The ground cracked open, and a circle of transparent fluctuations spread out in an instant. Be serious. Rley, I won, then it's up to me to teach Luffy hockey how. Chen Mu's eyes shone with excitement, and the arrogant conqueror hockey was like a dark cloud covering the entire daughter country. The people who were shrouded inside fell one by one. Even Luffy and Hancock couldn't control Vivi's trembling. Oh, then, come on. Rley's voice fell, like a signal for war. The two rushed to each other in an instant, fists, elbows, shoulders, knees, legs, and every part of their bodies were killer moves. Boom! There was a loud bang, and the dust filled the sky. On the ground, a huge deep crater appeared, as if it had been hit by an extraterrestrial meteor. A person walked out of this huge pit with a radius of 100 meters. Chen Mu's clothes were tattered, revealing his strong muscles without losing the beauty of lines. Looking at the giant pit behind him, Rley was no longer there. Chen Mu pulled out the Zanpakuto, a faint light flashed by, and the Zanpakuto appeared in the system space. He patted Luffy on the shoulder and said, I'll teach you for the next 2 years. Then, where's Uncle Rley? Luffy said eagerly as he watched Chen Mu leave. He lost. Chen Mu hesitated, and then added. Not lost, but he handed you over to me, and in 2 years, I will take you to Sabayati Archipelago to retrieve Sunny No. After all, the figure has completely disappeared into the forest. Ding! The hidden task is completed, get a reward, the blind box function is open. Close black lens bracket. Quote ? Chen Mu was startled, isn't mine a phishing system, why is there a blind box function? Blind box function. The host can use the exclusive, special items obtained in the world as bait for phishing. Close black lens bracket. Ding! The current location is daughter country, blind box phishing is open, and the bait is limited to Luffy's exclusive items. Close black lens bracket. Oh, fortunately, I didn't let me charge 648. Chapter 7 System Tool, Xiao Chen. Pain. Luffy squatted behind a boulder with his head in his arms, his howls resounded throughout the deep forest. Chen Mu was a little speechless. It's been almost a year, and his ability to resist beating is still so weak. This guy Rley specified that he didn't teach everything, otherwise he wouldn't be able to beat even a Fishman. Get up, you are now a big pirate with a bounty of 1 billion. Chen Mu said helplessly. Why does your fist hurt like my grandpa? Because he's also strong. Luffy, haven't you figured out what the 1 billion bounty means? Chen Mu's expression was weird, and he looked at Luffy with a look of caring for the mentally retarded. It means I'm strong, ha ha ha. No, it means that the next time you encounter at least an Admiral level arrest, if you are still so weak, Zoro, Sanji, and even Usopp may all try to save them one by one. You die. Crap, they won't die, I'm the captain and I'll protect them. Third gear, rubber giant pistol. A huge black fist rushed towards Chen Mu's face, but it was blocked by a light flick of his right index finger. It's been a year, and I can only use the third-class armament. Hey, I suddenly don't want to teach. In the past year, Luffy has endured the pain that his age should not bear. Compared with the plot of the previous life, Luffy's progress has been very rapid. In the previous life, Rley would not beat him every day. In this year, not only Luffy has made progress, but also our protagonist, Chen Mu. Open black lens bracket Chen Mu level, 1000 close black lens bracket. Saitama exercise. Perfect achievement progress, 10 out of 10. Open black lens bracket Conqueror. Level 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Armament. Level 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Observation Hockey. Level 1 close black lens bracket. System Armament. Flintlock Ben Beckman's exclusive weapon. Special armament. Zanpakudo Kyoka Suzuki. Shikai status magic modification effect, only effective for the host. If it is not necessary, Chen Mu should be killed and will not use this knife again, that experience. It's too shameful. The same year. Zoro awakens armament and observation haki to challenge the Baboon King and win. Awakens armament and observation haki, challenges the She-Male King, and wins. Usopp's weight loss success observation haki initial awakening. The 2-year agreement was also one of the conditions that Chen Mu and Rley reached. The loser needs to convey the news that they will meet in 2 years to the Straw Hats everywhere. Time flies. Chen Mu has been teaching Luffy for 2 years. Luffy's current haki level is infinitely close to the 2nd level, which is barely comparable to Card 2. Hey, I also tried my best. It may really take the 2nd card to have the opportunity to break through to the 2nd class. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the main line, Luffy Haki Training, the progress is 41/100. Close black lens bracket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the quest reward, special bait, cells. Close black lens bracket. Even cells can be used as bait, this system. Chen Mu's mouth twitched a few times, indicating that he had nothing to say. Chen Mu sat on a boulder by the sea and simply combined the newly obtained cell bait and fishing rod in the storage space of the system. Then take the rod and throw it tilde. Boom tilde. A subtle sound came out, and the fish hook fell into the water to give 10 points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Constitution fusion item, Hebao. Hebao is a Tokyo Ghoul. Why do I feel like this system is getting wilder? Chen Mu's expression is indescribably weird. Ding! The host constitution is too strong to be used. Close black lens bracket. Items Hebao can be integrated into equipment. Whether to integrate, yes, no. Close black lens bracket. Yes. Ding! It is not detected that the host has the original world attribute equipment, and the fusion failed. Close black lens bracket. World original attribute equipment. Chen Mu frowned and fell into deep thought. At this moment, Luffy walked in front of Chen Mu with a mountain-like ration pack on his back. Luffy, whose head was lowered by the food, tried to stretch his neck out, with a look of spring breeze on his face. Uncle, let's go, I can't wait to see Sunny and Zoro. Huh, oh, then let's go. Chen Mu responded subconsciously. But before the words were finished, the whole person suddenly froze. The first thing that catches the eye is not Luffy's smiling face, but the hat that originally belonged to One Piece King of Pirates Roger. Hat. Chen Mu's eyes lit up, and he was overjoyed, knowing that he couldn't close his legs. He couldn't close his mouth. As far as his current expression and mouth are concerned, I believe if you say he wants to eat children. Luffy, show me the hat. No, it's Shanks. No, it's Roger's. Huh, Roger. Is that Goldie Roger? Ace's dad. Quote. Chen Mu, who hated others' spoilers the most, finally gave others a spoiler today. This is really, the boy who slayed the dragon became an Arlong after all. The corners of Chen Mu's mouth twitched. If he turns black one day, Luffy will definitely be the first. This is the end of the complaints, and Chen Mu decided not to say more. Lightning shot, snatched Luffy's straw hat, and ran to the sea in a hurry. The full level of Saitama constitution, he can easily stand on the sea or even in the sky. The only pity is that his hair is blown away by the wind. Ah, my straw hat. Uncle, return it to me. Luffy put down the huge food bag, jumped down to the shore, and charged back on the right, and was about to grab Chen Mu in the distance. Uncle Tilda. Chen Mu's mouth twitched. I'm only 6 years older than you, okay. I'm only 26 this year. Regarding the title of Uncle, Chen Mu has asked Luffy, and Luffy replied, Uncle Rley is not your opponent, so you must be an uncle. Chen Mu's mouth twitched, and found that he couldn't refute it. Let me see it, and I'll give it back to you later. Ding, found the original world equipment, straw hat of straw hat. Close black lens bracket. Hebao fusion. Ding, the fusion of Hebao begins, please wait for the host. Open black lens bracket fusion is complete. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new item, the swallowed straw hat change. Close black lens bracket. Hearing the system beep, Chen Mu hurriedly looked at the straw hat, and the scarlet shimmer kept flashing and disappearing. Chen Mu's mouth twitched, just such a straw hat, why is it so bloody? Although there are endless complaints about the synthesis, magic modification, of the system, I still sink my heart and plan to take a look first. Swallowing straw hat change. The eater will gradually absorb the other's hockey in the same level of hockey competition, and the time limit is permanent. Close black lens bracket. Is this the alien version of the star-absorbing Dafa? Ding, the host hockey is the first level, top level, and cannot equip this item. Close black lens bracket. Well, cheap Luffy this kid. Chen Mu's figure flashed, he returned to the boulder again, and put the straw hat on Luffy's head. Someone sitting on the boulder rolled his eyes and said, "Don't look at me with that gnashing expression, you're lucky boy, you know that." Chen Mu put his hands behind his head, lying on the boulder, looking at the blue sky and white clouds. Vivi felt unhappy in his heart. I always feel that I am used as a tool by this system. Chapter 8. The Case of the Lost Kizaru Glasses. At this time, people from all over the world are rushing to Sabayati Archipelago, Shaoqi Small Bar. Chen Mu arrived first, while Luffy was on the boat coming. Don't ask why you don't take a boat, just don't love it. Chen Mu opened the curtain and walked in. Boss, a glass of juice. There's only wine here, Rley said without looking up, still drinking a little wine to himself. Oh, then give me a drink of his kind. Chen Mu replied lightly. Not long after, a glass of beer full of foam was placed in front of Chen Mu. 1,000,000 Baileys, no credit. Proprietress Shaki, with a cigarette in her mouth, took out a white handkerchief and wiped her hands, facing Chen Mu lightly. Quote ? Chen Mu was stunned for a moment, turned to look at Rley, and said in surprise, "Damn, you drink so expensive." Haha, it's almost the same. The lady boss here is very fierce. I suggest you don't take credit. Rley gave him a funny wink, a taste of schadenfreude. I give. A bag full of money was thrown on the table. Fortunately, nearly 500 million Baileys were drawn at the beginning, but it was a little uncomfortable to be slaughtered by a team. How is Luffy? HMPH, better than what you taught. Colorless. You think the first level is Chinese cabbage, open your mouth and come. Chen Mu rolled his eyes and continued, it's almost the second level. Well, not bad. Rley took the last sip, put down the glass, and walked straight outside. Boss lady, he didn't give money. Rley without looking back. He doesn't have to pay. Shaki replied lightly, unscrewed the curtain behind the bar, and walked in. Hee, you came to see Luffy's ship ahead of time, come with me. Chen Mu turned his head and snorted heavily. Sabayati Archipelago, 41. Rley arrived first, looked at the scarred tyrant bear in front of him, stopped 10 meters away, took a jug of wine from his arms, took a sip, and said, arrived, don't get too close. It's really the original tyrant bear guarding the boat plot. Etc. Where did this old man get his wine? Does this old man also have system storage space? Rley, where did you get this drink and the sword you drew last time? Chen Mu felt like a cat scratching his heart. He couldn't help it, so he asked aloud. Haha, I don't know. Rley glanced at Chen Mu and said with a smile. Me. Chen Mu wisely shut his mouth. Has been trying his best to piss him off since he lost his half move a little last time. During the 2 years he was training Luffy, Rley had touched the shore a lot, sometimes attacking him at night. For this reason, Chen Mu was very uncomfortable. Not long after Chen Mu arrived in the daughter country, Saitama's constitution was 10 out of 10 completed. With his hair turned into strength, his level soared by 1000. And when the level exceeds Rley, it is also successfully checked to Rley's level 470. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, is only level 501, the bounty is 5.046 billion. Chen Mu was uncomfortable, not because Rley was annoying, but because he was afraid of killing the old man with one punch. You must know that Mr. Saitama's punches basically never left him alive. This old man is not bad. If he is beaten to death, he will feel guilty. When Chen Mu was still in memory, the system's prompt sounded. The first returnee of the Straw Hats has landed on the island. Ding! The Straw Hat Group side quest is open, Zoro chapter. Reward. Special bait. Close black lens bracket. Summary and reward of all side missions. The second step of the blind box function. Close black lens bracket. Task progress. 1/9. Close black lens bracket. It's a special bait again. Don't think about it, it must be sending equipment to Zoro in a disguised form. Chen Mu rolled his eyes, wondering whether this system is his or the Straw Hat Pirates. Hey, old man, I'm leaving a little early, you drink slowly. Chen Mu turned around and waved his hand, said goodbye to Rley, and walked towards the blue flashing spot on the map. Rley responded casually, but when Chen Mu completely disappeared from his perception, a smile flashed in his eyes, and he threw the jug away. Boom! The jug made a faint sound of falling water, and Rley had long since disappeared from the shore. Side quest Zoro chapter. Fight with Zoro and make it use the 9 swords of Ghost Chi again, Ashura. Close black lens bracket. Zoro has 9 swords. Chen Mu was startled. 9 knife flow, 9 knife flow, he couldn't remember. Under what circumstances did Zoro use the 9 knife flow stunt? Hiss. It hurts my head thinking about it. No, 2 years later, Zoro hasn't even revealed his true strength. Where is the desperate 3-sword style? Wait, desperate, he. And ran towards the Marine headquarters. Moments later, Zoro gets lost. Zoro, who believed that he was not lost, was finally cared for once by the goddess of luck Perona and brought him to the right place. At this time, the Marine headquarters was in chaos. Guy suspected of seaman recruit rushed into Admiral Kizaru's room. Kizaru Admiral, who was lying on the fish. Well, everyone is fine, but his glasses were robbed. Chen Mu came out of the Marine headquarters, he headed straight for the Sunny. Kizaru's glasses are fake, and Uncle Huang really is a fake Marine. Kizaru spit out the blue stone chips in his mouth, and the whole person turned into an afterimage, flashing quickly on the streets of Sabayati Archipelago. The dust and haze splashed along the way, obscuring the sky. At this time, Zoro, looking at the empty Sunny, yawned out of boredom, and was about to lie down on the boat and sleep comfortably. At this moment, a familiar voice entered his ears. Zoro ... Zoro's right eye snapped open. This is Kuina. Figure flashed, and Zoro instantly disappeared in place. He rushed towards the source of the sound, and at this moment, the 3rd-generation Goosh, who was still in the sheath, flashed purple light. Zoro stopped instantly, a tyrannical aura flashed in his eyes. Phew! After taking a deep breath, Zoro calmed down and his right eye returned to clarity. Kuina died so early, I can't hear her voice again. Thinking of this, Zoro's eyes flashed with grief. Zoro ... I want to be the greatest swordsman in the world. Zoro turned around abruptly and looked at Tashigi, in front of him. No, the girl in front of him and Tashigi were only 7 points similar. This is really Kuina, she's not dead. Zoro's face beamed with joy, and he removed his hand from the handle of the knife, and was about to rush over to recognize her. At this moment, a cockroach with a strange glow stabbed out of Kuina's abdomen. No. Once again, watching a familiar friend die in front of him, Zoro's breath became extremely tyrannical. A purple-black aura rose from Zoro, and the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly. The temperature around you is near freezing point. Chen Mu's version of Kizaru, Vivi was taken aback for a moment, looking at Zoro who drew his sword in anger. Chen Mu was shocked by Vivi in his heart, and sighed lightly. What have you experienced in the past 2 years? The murderous aura is already so serious. Chen Mu, who had calmed down a little, calmed down and looked at the Zanpakuto in his hand, slightly surprised. After this magical transformation, Jinghua Shuiyu can actually be used on the enemy. Premise is that something has to be poke, like a tree. Chapter 9 The Nine Swords stream reappears. Zoro is blind in his right eye. Kizaru slowly pulled out the cock that had stabbed into Kuina's body. Actually, the knife was pulled out from the tree, because the friction with the trunk was too harsh, so it was slowly pulled out. Kizaru's face was extremely cold, and the evil Isho said, "Hee hee, good luck, I can kill 2 today." Zoro, who was extremely irritable, came in a flash. 3 swords profound truth, Qinglong Yin, flowing water. The 3 sharp sword chi intersected each other, rolled into a huge cyan dragon, opened its huge mouth, and bit Kizaru away. Kizaru took off his glasses, threw them behind him, and stretched his right arm forward. The tip of Kyoka Shueyu's knife was just in the middle of Zoro's offensive. This scene is like the East Blue battle back then. Hawkeye Zoro met for the first time, and Hawkeye resisted Zoro's 3 knife flow with only a knife. Today's scene reappears, and Zoro is no longer the original Zoro. Although the offensive was blocked, the blue dragon still ran over Kizaru violently, and a long ravine was plowed on the ground. The blue dragon raged past, slammed into the giant tree 100 meters away, and blasted the sky full of sawdust. With a huge roar, the giant tree fell to the ground. The strong wind blew the dust and mist all around, and the figures of the 2 were buried by the surging dust and mist storm. A gust of wind blew away the dust from the sky. The 2 of them didn't move, and Zoro was still facing a situation where Kizaru was smashed. Damn, Zoro was unwilling. Then he gritted his teeth fiercely, stepped back with his right foot, his body sank sharply, and the 2 knives that were originally crossed were instantly separated 180 degrees horizontally. 3 swords, leopard, chin, jade. Tornado was instantly formed, Kyoka Shueyu was bounced off by the high-speed rotating blade, and Zoro broke through Kizaru's defense directly from the front. Kizaru raised his eyebrows in surprise. Obviously, he had never imagined that Zoro would connect with this move. Zoro again, his body appeared not far behind Kizaru by virtue of the inertia after sprinting, and then turned around instantly, looking at Kizaru whose clothes were not broken, his brows furrowed. Phew, Zoro exhaled a turbid breath, his face became extremely calm, and the 3 knives were gradually entangled by armament, turning purple and black. 9 mountains and 8 seas are one world, and thousands of worlds together form a small world. This world is multiplied by 3, and there is no ego constant. 3 swords profound truth. 1 big, 3,000, great thousand worlds. This time it was faster, and it shot out like an arrow from the string, and slashed again at Kizaru, who had not yet reacted. The sharp blade gas slid across Kizaru's body in an instant and shot into the distance. Boom boom boom. Several giant trees in the distance were cut off. After the instant hit, Zoro's expression was sluggish, and he couldn't stop muttering, How can this happen? it's impossible to cut it, it's impossible. Hit Kizaru's body, the blade's momentum was suddenly blocked, just like the leopard piano and jade just now, unable to slash Kizaru at all. Kizaru raised a frivolous smile, looked at Zoro contemptuously, and said slowly, "If that's all you have, then I'll fight back." When Kizaru looked at him, Zoro's body trembled imperceptibly, and cold sweat gradually wet his back. Is this the true strength of Marine Admiral? Zoro's palms were full of sweat, and he even felt that he couldn't even hold a knife. Zoro's eyes gradually lost focus. At this moment, as a swordsman, he actually questioned the weapon in his hand. Kizaru still looked at him quietly, but roared wildly in his heart, turn around and hit me, use the ghost Ashura, my lines are gone, it's embarrassing to stand there." Quote. A gust of breeze came, swaying the dust on the ground and brushing it from the feet of the two of them. The two in the field still did not move. The scene suddenly quieted down. No, why do I feel like I accidentally blow up Zoro's mentality? I have to add more fire to stimulate him. Thinking of this, Kizaru's eyes lit up, the mirror flower in his hand swayed rapidly, and a strange light rippled out. On the water in the distance, a 9-snake pirate ship slowly passed through the fog and appeared in Zoro's sight. Hey, Zoro, he. Luffy stood on the bow and waved vigorously at Zoro. Luffy, hurry up. Zoro's voice stopped abruptly, looking at Kizaru who suddenly appeared behind Luffy. He tried his best to open and close his lips, but he couldn't make a sound. No, Luffy go. Zoro was furious. However, at this time, Luffy didn't seem to notice the strangeness behind him. Kizaru sneered and waved his right hand lightly, a cold sword light flashed, a large amount of blood spurted out, and Luffy's body was broken in two. No. Zoro was shocked, and there was nothing to restrain him at this moment. A black mist-like evil spirit rose up, and Zoro's only right pupil turned blood red. Ghost energy. Vivi grinned at the corner of Zoro's mouth, and a strange white mist burst out from the corner of his mouth. 9 swords flow. The ghostly aura pervaded the right shoulder, and Zoro's face flashing with a little red light slowly appeared. Ashura. A face appeared on his left shoulder again, and bloodthirsty red light still filled his eyes. Magic. 9. Flash. A 3-headed and 9-walled statue with more black energy appeared behind Zoro. Compared to the 9 swords stream 2 years ago, Zoro now has more murderous aura, ghost aura. Kizaru beamed with joy. Zoro finally came to his senses, the mission is almost over. Who is it? Boom. The illusion was shattered. Chen Mu's face was full of astonishment. Jinghua Shuiyu let go and inserted it into the tree trunk beside him. Rley looked at Chen Mu with a smile on his face, and slashed at the back of Zoro's neck with a knife that was as fast as a gust of wind. Zoro's whole Vivi swayed and fell to the ground. Are you teasing him? Rley narrowed his eyes, a dangerous light flashing in his eyes. Ah, Rley, I'm going to kill you. Chen Mujuo roared furiously. Just a little bit. This Rley ran out of nowhere and kicked the mirror in his hand. This kind of empty thing happened to him, which made Chen Mu's anger explode instantly. Rley frowned, a transparent wave rippling from him. It is the colorless armed hockey of the first rank. War is imminent. Ding! Side quest. Zoro chapter completed. Rewards are being distributed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the item, special bait. Close black lens bracket. Finished. The system's voice sounded in Chen Mu's mind. Chen Mu's whole person's momentum was vented, and the monstrous murderous aura immediately dissipated. Chen Mu was overjoyed, jumped to the branch aside, took out his fishing rod with joy, and was about to start fishing, but no fish spots around here. Chen Mu was taken aback for a moment. I took out my long and big fishing rod, you tell me there are no fish points. The corners of Rley, Rley's mouth twitched, his pants. No, his first-level armament was in place. You say you won't fight if you don't fight. Cough cough. Zoro, who fell to the ground, coughed twice and slowly got up from the ground. The only remaining right eye, Vivi, opened, but the pupil was a grayish-white color. Rley shuddered, looking at him in disbelief. Zoro, is he blind in his right eye now? Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the hidden mission, Eye of Shira. Chapter 10 Shira God Gate. Chapter 10. The breath on Rley's body suddenly fluctuated violently, which made Chen Mu, who was still stunned, a little unhappy. This old guy, do you want to be beaten so much? With a swoosh, Chen Mu instantly appeared in front of Rley. Chen Mu frowned slightly and followed Rley's gaze. Chen Mu stared at Zoro stunned, and was shocked. Grabbed Rley violently with both hands, shaking his shoulders wildly. What the hell did you do? Why does he look like this? Chen Mu asked Rley loudly. Rley frowned, lost in thought. At this moment, Zoro stood up staggeringly and looked around in a dazed way. But found, the surroundings were covered with gray, and nothing could be seen. ... Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the hidden quest, Eye of Shira, reward, the bait fusion function is open. Close black lens bracket. Shira's eye. Is it? Whether to fish Shira's gate magic immediately, yes, no. Yes. Ding! The original world equipment is lost, the special fishing rod combination fails, and fishing is impossible. Close black lens bracket. Lost the original world equipment. Chen Mu was taken aback for a moment. When did I ever own the original world equipment? I remembered. It's Kizaru's glasses. Chen Mu glanced at the surrounding ground, trying to find Uncle Huang's glasses. Hey, sorry, I shouldn't pretend to be compulsive. Now it's good, where did I find it? Hey. The ground of the mud ravine suddenly reflected a ray of light, and Chen Mu took a step forward thinking about the target. It's over. Shattered into shards of glass. Alas, this gate of Shira must be related to Zoro. If this task is not completed, Zoro is afraid that he will really become the #1 blind swordsman in the world. Thinking of this, Chen Mu looked back at Zoro a little unbearably, and watched Zoro's hands groping in front of his eyes, and his heart became more and more uncomfortable. All because Rley is out of stock. You can just let Zoro release the 9 swords stream. You have to interrupt him. Rley, I'm telling you, you're going to lose all. Before the word responsibility could be said, Chen Mu's eyes lit up. He, the original world equipment, right? Chen Mu's mouth twitched, Vivi's figure flashed, and he disappeared in place. Rley's eyes widened suddenly, a look of astonishment on his face. He didn't react at all. If Chen Mu used the ultimate move just now, he was afraid. Rley's glasses in the blink of an eye. Rley was still dumbfounded and didn't react. Now he knows the gap between our strengths. Lend me the glasses. After that, he stepped out and came to Zoro's side. The confused little brother Zoro under his arm, he jumped up and disappeared. Rley, on the other hand, stayed where he was in a daze, apparently not coming back to his senses. ... Ding! Get the original world equipment, whether to combine, yes, no. Yes. Kyoka Shueyu plus Rley's glasses plus fishing rod, synthesizing. Ding! Get a new item, the key of the illusory world number of times. Once note, after the number of times is used up, it will be automatically disassembled and assembled, and cannot be resynthesized. Close black lens bracket. Phew, it's good, Rley's glasses can be returned. Start fishing. Boom boom boom. As far as the eye can see, the sea is churning. At the end of the sea, an incomparably huge gate of sin slowly rose from the sea. The waves were surging, and the huge waves kept hitting the shore. Several smaller pirate ships were smashed by the huge waves, and only a few pieces of wooden boards were left floating on the sea surface. Rumbling rumble tilde tilde tilde. The incomparably gigantic Asura God's Gate has completely surfaced out of the sea, covered by layers of clouds and mist, adding a bit of mystery to this gate of the evil god. At the same time, it also reduced the fear of everyone in the world who saw this door. On this door, which is dark as a hole, there is a statue of an extremely evil deity. The statue is of a thick black color as a whole, with 3 faces with different expressions: angry, sinister, and evil. The only similarity is the bloody red glow in the eye sockets. On both sides of the body are the divine arms of 6 horned dragons, with purple and black lights flashing on them. Each of the 6 arms holds a black blade with a strange shape, resembling a snake, a grass, or a spear blade, with different shapes. Staring at it, the 6-handled soldiers had no hilts, and the scarlet blood flowed out of the palm of the idol, slowly dripping down the hiltless blade into the sea of blood below. Chen Mu was also terrified to the point that he couldn't get over it for a long time. The height of this door. I am afraid it would pierce the atmosphere. Just such a big thing, let our little Zoro be at a loss to do. Chen Mu's tongue suddenly became dry, and he looked at Zoro with some sympathy. But Zoro's expression is unexpectedly calm now, which makes Chen Mu frown. At this moment, Rley was also attracted by this huge change. You did it. Rley frowned, stared intently at the giant door, and said lightly, bring it. Chen Mu's palm in front of Vivi froze for a moment, then the corners of his mouth twitched. Hee hee, I'll bring it to you later. Rley cast a speechless glance at Chen Mu, then looked sideways at Zoro beside him. Faced with the enormous pressure, Zoro's expression was very calm. It seemed that this door was really prepared for him by Chen Mu. Chen Mu's strength is becoming more and more incomprehensible. Zoro looked at this giant door with a calm expression. His closed left eye began to beat regularly, the hazy gray layer on the right eye gradually receded, and the blood-red color filled the entire eye socket. You need my strength, don't you? Do you still need to hesitate? Your sword can no longer protect you, Daijinhao, ha 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 ha. Bewitching voices kept ringing in Zoro's mind. Ah, shut up. Zoro, with a ferocious face, roared loudly at Shenman. Zoro's sudden roar made Chen Mu and Rley really startled. The former frowned Vivi and then loosened it, while the latter revealed doubts. Receiving Zoro's response, the giant mouth of the Shira statue slowly opened. Sharp teeth, that exposed the cold light, were not so much sharp teeth, but rather a blade shaped like a 3-generation ghost. Zoro lowered his head and gasped, his hands resting on his knees. The pressure from his soul could no longer make him look directly at the statue. Rley frowned, looked at Zoro a little worriedly, and said to Chen Mu, this thing. Is it under your control? Chen Mu was stunned, looked at Rley with a playful expression, and thought to himself, I didn't see that you old guy looked down on me. I have to say, you old guy's eyes are quite accurate, this thing. Hee hee, it's really under my control. Shira Shenman, Level 800. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 11 World Disaster. Come on, hee hee hee. Oh, can't even hold a knife. What a disappointment. Zoro's breathing became faster and faster, and the white air exhaled from his mouth gradually became thicker. The white gas, like a thick fog, condensed but did not disperse, slowly covering Zoro's body. Gradually, Zoro's figure disappeared into the thick fog, and even the last trace of red light was completely obscured by the white fog. The statue in the distance squinted with satisfaction, and the 2 blood-colored demon pupils on the front of his face were gently closed. Sea breeze blew, and the white mist around Zoro dissipated, and the whole person disappeared. Where are the others? Rley frowned and looked at Chen Mu, A hint of confusion flashed in his eyes. Shish tilde tilde don't talk. After that, Chen Mu disappeared out of thin air, just like that. Surprised, Rley closed his eyes and began to sense, running observation hockey to the limit, but couldn't find Chen Mu's breath. ... Inside the door. Zoro's eyes were closed, and his breathing was slow and long, like an ancient tree with long roots. The main color in the whole space is gray, and the only color is the pair of full moons in the sky. 1/5 from the front. Chen Mu sat on the front moon with his hands behind his back, and looked at Zoro below boredly with a sleepy look on his face. Ah, so boring. The so-called Shira God Gate is actually a double gate, and their current position is the other side hidden inside the gate. The statue on this side is not like a relief, carved on the door, but a real Shira God. The space is divided into two parts. The upper part is a gray space with 2 round moons and Chen Mu. The lower part is the face of Shira God, and the position where Zoro is standing is the tip of Shira God's nose. There are 2 huge holes on the face of Shira God, which are the sockets of his eyes, and a pair of blood-colored pupils turned into 2 full moons, hanging in the sky. The current Shira's expression was very solemn, and he did not dare to make any movement. Originally, this space was under the control of Shira God, and the giant faces were all stumps, broken arms, and skeletons. There are countless sharp blades buried in the dark eye socket abyss. Very tempting bewitching voices are endless. However, after Chen Mu came in, everything changed. He waved his hand in disgust and stared fiercely at the statue below. Immediately, the terrifying atmosphere dissipated. ... Zoro, who had been silent for a long time, stepped forward with his right foot and walked firmly towards the black abyss on the right. Chen Mu frowned slightly, with a hint of warning in his eyes, and glanced at the 3 divine faces under his eyes. The godly faces on the left and right sides suddenly became tense, and hurriedly set their eyes straight, no longer looking at Zoro on the straight face. As if the life and death of the face had nothing to do with them. The frontal face was even more unbearable. The eyes turned into a red moon in the sky, leaving only 2 hollow eye sockets, and the head could not be turned, so that every time it was to bear the frontal pressure of Chen Mu. Big Brother in the face panicked. Regarding this hidden mission, Chen Mu got some hints, but because it was too dangerous, he had to forcibly intervene. Conditions for completing the task are very simple. Let Zoro take away a blood-red demon pupil from Shira God. Hee, it's very simple. Aren't you bullshitting? Zoro doesn't even have a 300 million bounty right now, which translates to level 30. You asked a level 31 turn warrior to snatch the eyeball of a level 800 boss. This is the end of Chen Mu's inner drama, looking at Zoro again. Zoro's pace became more and more firm, and his walking speed became faster and faster, and in the blink of an eye, he had reached the edge of the dark abyss. Zoro stopped at the edge of the abyss, his hands stretched out. The purple-black color rose from the soles of his feet, and then his arms quickly wrapped around him. With a sudden grip of both hands, the 2 atomized, 3 generations of ghosts took shape. Holding the ghost blade in his hand, he jumped into the abyss. Seeing this, Chen Mu frowned and fell into deep thought. To be honest, he didn't know how to help Zoro take away the bloody demon pupil. The bloody double moon is actually the pupil of Shira God, but this height is not something Zoro can get. Zoro again, after a half-minute free fall, his feet were on the ground. The current Zoro's purple-black aura permeated his entire body, his eyes were tightly closed, and a faint red glow flashed under his eyelids. This is the empty right eye of Shira God. In this circular space with a width of hundreds of meters, except for Zoro's feet, all are sharp blades. Whoosh! Ghost sword, shrouded in black mist shot towards Zoro. Zoro's lower body didn't move, and Vivi's upper body tilted, dodging. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The second handle, the third handle, the fourth. More and more blades broke through the ground, shooting towards Zoro from all directions. Due to the system's protection mechanism for the Shira God Gate, Chen Mu could not directly see the situation in the abyss. However, the sudden increase in the fighting atmosphere was caught by him. Chen Mu clapped his hands and was about to jump down to fight the battle. This time, he shivered in shock when he secretly stared at him from 3 sides. Chen Mu looked at the system prompt that appeared in front of him, and immediately stopped his jumping action. Asura Purgatory is opening. Going degree is 1/10. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Shira Shenman level, 799 close black lens bracket. Hey, it looks like Zoro is picking up the wool of Shira Shenman. Well, I won't disturb his growth. Outside, on the sea. It was originally intended to turn Zoro into the Asura God Gate, one of the souls of the Purgatory Sword. Due to Chen Mu's interference, the difficulty of the Asura Purgatory field was directly reduced to the novice care stage, and the strength was absorbed by the opponent in the opposite direction. Asura flinched inside the door, but Asura attacked with a heavy punch outside the door. The sea surface was violently churning, and a black mist suddenly spread across the entire sea. The first to bear the brunt are the sea kings at the bottom of the sea. Evil thoughts breed, their eyes are full of red, and they frantically attack all life that appears in the field of vision. The battle at the bottom of the sea became more and more fierce, and the blood was mixed with the sea water and was stirred wantonly. The many pirate groups on the sea also gradually lost their minds and attacked their companions with knives. Only a few pirate ships with Captain Conqueror survived. On the Moby Dick, Whitebeard pulled out the transparent medicine tube on his body and stood on the bow. Conqueror spread to the maximum extent, against the vast black mist. The captains who were carrying Conqueror Haki all rushed to the places under their command by boat. Pirates. Somewhere on an uninhabited island covered with snow, the red-haired Shanks, standing on the edge of the island, looked east with a sad face. The end of the sea level is no longer sparkling, and the black mist fills and churns wantonly. Under the sea, countless blood streams converged into an upward torrent, which was absorbed by the mist, and the red glow inside was even more eerie. Chapter 12 Rub the boat, and then open the hidden mission. Ding, ding, ding. In a pitch-dark space, the sound of knives colliding kept ringing. Zoro was covered in stab wounds, and the huge wound on his abdomen was almost cut in half. Without the black mist in this space, it can always cling to Zoro's wound at the first time and heal him. A ding sound, Zoro knocked the last blade, the ghost energy in his body increased several times higher than before, and the purple and black demonic flames rose. Ashura with 3 heads and 6 arms is fully open. The purple-black ghost gas is mixed with a little red electric wire, which makes people feel the violent and incomparable power while the hair is upside down. Zoro's right eye has regained clarity, and a slowly rotating vortex appears in the empty left eye, sucking all the ghost energy around him into it. The Guido blades all over the ground turned into black mist and poured into Zoro's left eye. Chen Mu was still sitting on the bloody full moon. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden task. Rewards are being distributed. Close black lens bracket. Ding! The bait fusion function is turned on. Close black lens bracket. Oh, Zoro is very fast. Zoro slowly walked out of the black abyss. His expression was extremely peaceful. A red electric light flashed across his right eye, and then disappeared. Boom boom boom. The entire space began to tremble violently, and the 2 blood-colored full moons began to slowly descend, merging toward the eye sockets. Chen Mu didn't like the feeling of hip shaking, so he jumped down when the bloody full moon just started to fall. Zoro's right eye flashed with murderous intent, and the moment his left eye opened slightly, a trace of black mist appeared, which quickly wrapped around his right arm, and then turned into a new ghost blade. The whole action is completed in the blink of an eye, and the movement is smooth and smooth. Clang. The sound of metal crashing sounded. The first half of Chen Mu's left index finger turned red and black, blocking Zoro's attack very casually. Zoro was shocked. In this ghost space, he was strengthened several times, but he still slashed the people in front of him. It was really... Well, it's alright. After plucking level 10 wool, my strength has finally broken through to level 100. Quote. Chen Mu raised his eyebrows, kept looking at Zoro in front of him, and nodded with satisfaction. Let's go. If you don't go, you will follow this broken door and escape into other worlds. As soon as the words fell, Chen Mu flashed away and left this world. Zoro, on the other hand, was full of ghosts in his feet, and walked in the air at high speed, and finally ran out before the giant gate closed. Black mist dissipated, and the figures of Chen Mu and Zoro reappeared on the shore. Swish! Chen Mu had just emerged from the black fog, and before he could stretch himself, he heard the sound of the wind, and Vivi tilted his head to avoid Rley's sharp blow. Old guy, are you addicted? Chen Mu glared angrily. Rley snorted heavily, tilted his head in the direction of the sea, and said coldly, HMPH, see for yourself what the world has become. Zoro, who took the next step out of the black fog, both looked at the sea. All you can see are the corpses of giant sea beasts, dilapidated ships, and scarlet blood gathered at the location of the Gate of God, which will last for a long time. Soon after the two came out, Shenmen returned to its original world, the black mist disappeared, and the fresh blood that had not been absorbed in time was left on the sea. The two of them frowned, and the sea breeze blowing in the face was mixed with a strong bloody smell, which made people very uncomfortable. Zoro's tightly closed left eye Vivi throbbed, and a faint red light flashed away. Chen Mu Vivi looked sideways, glanced at Zoro who was back to normal, and walked towards the island. Waved at the two people who were in a daze behind him and said, "Don't look at it, let's go, you won't reduce your losses by staying here." The two looked at each other and left the shore. The disaster came very suddenly, and caught all living beings in the pirate world by surprise. Fortunately, Shenmen is extremely greedy and bloodthirsty, and directly instills most of the evil thoughts into the powerful sea kings, and the human casualties are much smaller. A few days after the disaster, the Straw Hats finally assembled. Fortunately, in this short-lived disaster, everyone had the aura of the protagonist group, and there were no casualties. Chen Mu and Rley stood together and looked at the people on the boat. Rley looked at Luffy who waved goodbye with a smile, and said lightly, "What are your plans?" "It's none of your business." Chen Mu rolled his eyes. "Bring it." Rley's smile subsided, turned his head, and stared at Chen Mu with a serious face. Chen Mu Vivi pouted, fakely took out his butt pocket, and returned Rley's glasses. Useless anyway. Chen Mu handed the glasses back without any hesitation. Chen Mu slept by the boat for several days, and saw everyone one after another, but did not trigger the hidden mission. Now he only has one special bait, and the bait fusion function needs at least 3 or more. Looking at the new function that took a lot of effort to open, but it can only be seen and can't be used, which made him anxious for several days, and his hair was about to fall out. Oh, forget, he's long since had no hair. Damn, I can't bear it anymore. Looking at the group of straw hats sinking into the sea, Chen Mu finally couldn't bear it anymore, took out the fishing rod and filled it with bait, and started. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the item, Saitama battle suit. Close black lens bracket. Well, it's an exercise method and a bald head, and now he's got his clothes and let me play another world shame play. It fits nicely and stretches well. The corners of Rley's mouth twitched. It was the first time he saw someone change clothes. It was actually a man. Ding! The main quest is on. Follow the straw hats into the new world. Reward, special bait 3. Rely on. Don't say it sooner. Chen Mu raised his head and took a deep breath, plunged his head into the sea, and quickly swam towards the location of the Straw Hat Pirates. 2 blue dots on the map are fast approaching. Due to the unexpected appearance of Shira's Gate, the number of huge sea beasts and sea kings in the deep sea decreased sharply. Should have been encountered at 2,000 meters, also disappeared. Luffy's group also lost a plot line to save Princess Shirahoshi's shark pet. Of course, these are all later stories. Sunny dived to 1,000 meters, it was overtaken by Chen Mu and crashed into the bubble Sunny. Except for Luffy and Zoro, everyone else saw Chen Mu for the first time, holding a bit of hostility towards a bald man in a yellow tights. "Ah, uncle, have you finally decided to be my partner?" Luffy's eyes twinkled with 2 big stars, and he said excitedly. Zoro glanced at Luffy in surprise. It turns out, this mysterious powerhouse is really an acquaintance. "Luffy, who is this?" Nami asked. The eyes of a group of people also focused on Luffy. "He is." Before he could finish speaking, Chen Mu covered his mouth. "Hee, I just dropped by, take a boat and go to Fishman Island, and I'll leave when I get there." Chen Mu san isho. Chen Mu didn't let Luffy speak was rather special. Ding, hidden quests open, Chopper chapter. Chapter 13 Plan to kidnap Chopper. What the hell, this hidden mission? Looking at the completion conditions of the hidden mission, Chen Mu fell into contemplation. Awakening the Constitution with Chopper. Constitution can a reindeer have? Awakening the talent for pulling a car. Turn the Sunny into a Christmas sleigh. The corner of Chen Mu's mouth couldn't help twitching. At this moment, the big One Piece King of Pirates Luffy poked Chen Mu with his index finger and said, "Uncle, you are very strange today." "Huh. You seem to be able to take a boat today." Quote. 2 years of getting along, Luffy knew that Chen Mu suffered from seasickness. As for why there is no seasickness today, I also have to thank the old Uncle Kizaru for a pair of glasses. Cooperating with the system to open the illusion, he has been in a hypnotic state of, "I am not seasick." Well, it's just that the 5 senses are hypnotized, and the internal state of the body is still seasick. The strength is directly reduced to level 100. 3-color hockey, Conqueror is disabled, Arm Saw is downgraded to the 2nd rank, and the quasi-heads are also massively deviated from time to time. If he held Jinghua Shuiyu in his hand, there would be no such situation. Chen Mu sighed inwardly, and glanced at Zoro with some resentment. Zoro is shaking. Ding, the original world material is missing, and the automatic combination of special fishing rods fails. Cannot fish Giant's Gate, close black lens bracket. Missing, blue wave ball, Dragon Palace secret medicine. Close black lens bracket. Chen Mu squeezed his chin and sat in the restaurant of the Sunny. He said to himself, Lambo ball can find Chopper, the secret medicine of the Dragon Palace. It should be a murderous medicine, and I have to find the boss of the new Fishman pirate ship, Hody. Poof tilde chirp backquote poof tilde chirp. Chopper's unique footsteps came in, and Chen Mu immediately stopped talking to himself, but Chopper still listened. Big Uncle, do you want my blue wave ball? What do you want it for? Quote. You heard it wrong. After all, Chen Mu hurriedly walked out, because the seasickness buff of deep awareness was still there. With a bang, it hit the door frame. Chopper tilted his head in confusion, then seemed to think of something terrible. His hair trembled and his teeth chattered. This uncle must be trying to steal my Rambo ball, and then sell me for a bounty. Chopper, who was more and more afraid, decided to secretly tell everyone about it. Chen Mu, who walked out of the room, shook his head. Although there was no real dizziness, the faint weakness of his body still made him uncomfortable. The physical condition is very poor. Chen Mu frowned, and Vivi sighed in his heart. Looking outside, the giant octopus Kraken was dragging the Sunny down sharply. Kraken had scars all over his body, and the most serious tentacle was almost broken at the root. Judging from the wound, it seemed to be the bite mark of a variety of sea beasts. Facing the influence of the evil thoughts of Shira Shenman, the first ones to bear the brunt are the sea monsters. On the other side, the deep sea below 10,000 meters, the dim Fishman Street. Jones and Van Deeken hammer out a plan to overthrow Fishman Island in the dark. The two people who were pregnant with each other turned around, and they were all cold isho. Depth of 7,000 meters, the bodies of countless giant sea beasts kept rising and falling, and their bodies were already devastated. Seeing the scene outside the boat, Sanji felt a pity in his heart, turned around, and silently lit a cigarette. And Luffy was clinging to the membrane of the boat, his eyes flashed with dazzling light, and moved tears flowed from his unsatisfactory mouth. Since Chen Mu didn't have the habit of smoking, he left Sanji's side while thinking and walked towards Nami. Well, he simply wanted to stay away from Sanji. Nami looked away from the pointer on her wrist and looked at Chen Mu who was walking towards her, her brows wrinkled imperceptibly. Zoro and Robin also looked at Chen Mu. Chen Mu clenched his chin in a contemplative manner, walked to Nami's side on his own, and handed over a bag of money. "Here's my boat fee." Nami's eyes suddenly lit up, and she snatched the purse with joy on her face. When touching the purse, Nami's money talent automatically works. This weight, 1,000,000 full. "Well, this distinguished guest, do you have any other needs, Tilda?" Vivi twitched at the corner of Chen Mu's mouth. "The little thief cat is really well deserved. I want to eat barbecue, do you have one?" "Of course. Sanji, go do it." Sanji raised his head to look at Chen Mu, originally reluctant, but seeing Nami with her hands on her hips and her chest moving violently, she jumped into the kitchen happily. "Okay, Nami-chan." Sanji's rippling voice remained on the deck for a long time. "Sanji, you're in control. Chopper, hurry up." "Got it, Usopp." Usopp and Chopper hurriedly followed with blood bags in their hands. Dining room. A white dining table is piled with delicious food, full of aroma. Among the people present, Robin took a few bites, and the others were forcibly ordered to stand aside and pay attention. At the end of the meal, Chen Mu elegantly picked up the tablecloth and wiped his mouth, glanced at Luffy, whose hands were hanging down from the air, and looked at Nami, who was smiling. Sounded. "Dear guest, you spent a total of 5,000,000 Baileys for this meal." Nami's eyes flashed with money symbols, and she looked at Chen Mu with a smile. "No wonder Luffy, who is the captain, can't even get to the table, so it turns out." The corner of Chen Mu's mouth twitched, and he drew 5,000,000 from the system space. After taking it out, a large wallet was automatically generated and placed on the table. Swish. An afterimage flashed by, and the purse disappeared before it could completely kiss the tabletop. Chen Mu's eyes twitched. Vivi, he stood up instantly, and said firstly, "Thank you very much for your hospitality, I don't need any other services, thank you." After speaking, he bowed deeply and hurriedly slipped out. Nami walked into her room contentedly. Luffy hugged Sanji's whole body and kept complaining. Usopp and Chopper also acted violently on the same stage, guarding the table full of empty plates, muttering words like, "I want to eat," and, "I won't let you clear the dishes if you don't give me food." Zoro's right eye. Vivi raised his back against the wall, stepped forward, picked up the bottle of unopened wine on the table, and followed the smiling Robin out. This deep-sea trip was surprisingly easy. At 10,000 meters, a huge double-layer semicircular bubble film shield surrounded the entire Fishman Island, and there was an air layer between the two layers of shields. The Straw Hats and his party still haven't found the most correct path. After a little discussion, they still choose to use the wind to jump through the air layer in the middle. When entering the air layer, the coating will automatically peel off. Without air bubbles and boat membranes, several people who have eaten devil fruit will inevitably faint when they enter the seawater, and even their lives will be in danger. To this end, Nami finalized a plan. Zoro and Sanji is the driver, pulling the 4 landlubbers to swim out of the sea area. Suocean and the 2 tied thick hemp ropes around their waists. Zoro took Luffy and Brook, and Sanji took Chopper and Robin, standing on the bow, waiting for Frankie to fire. At this time, Chen Mu pouted, and on the grounds of seasickness, he wanted to bring Dr. Chopper to Fishman Island to see a doctor for him. Chopper said he didn't want to be alone with him. But when Chen Mu paid 5 million Bailey to the Black Boss, Nami again, he set off smoothly with Chopper. Chapter 14. The mission is open, fishing the Giant's Gate. Bang tilde tilde. The wind cannon was activated, and the Sunny flew across the sky, rushing through the air layer in one fell swoop. Although everyone was fully prepared, they were almost knocked unconscious by the intense deep-sea pressure. Critical moment. Zoro's Sanji armament quickly wrapped and covered it, and swam upwards against Wanjun's pressure. However, unexpectedly, Usopp and Nami couldn't bear the pressure of the deep sea and lost consciousness. Zoro and Sanji had to go back and take the 2 comatose with them. The vortex of the water began to become turbulent, and Suocean and the 2 gradually became a little more difficult. Gollum tilde tilde. Bubbles appeared, and Zoro Sanji couldn't hold back his breath, and the 2 fainted one after another. So far, the Straw Hat Pirates, except for Chopper, who was directly taken away by Chen Mu, were all in a coma. Fishman Street. Came to this lawless place with the unconscious Chopper under his arm. Jones, the captain of the new Fishman Pirates, heard rumors that the Straw Hat Pirates were going to the New World via Fishman Island. The result was empty. Chen Mu was walking on the dimly lit street, looking left and right, as if he was looking for something. At this moment, 3 figures approached. The 2 groups of people approached quickly on the narrow street, and it seemed that no one had any idea of avoiding it. The 2 groups of people stopped when they were 5 meters away. Chen Mooning looked around and saw the new Fishman Pirate's mark of the person on the opposite side, which matched the mark on Arlong's body very well. Hee hee. It seems that these guys who were going to find Luffy were the first to cut off their beards. Chen Mu sneered, sandwiched Chopper, and continued to move forward. The leader is a moray eel fishman, with dry yellow skin, a tattoo of Arlong Gang on the left neck, orange curly hair under a black top hat, and an arrogant and shadowy smile. Behind him is an octopus swordsman, full of alcohol. Unlike the former Hammond, Leopard Zhang is the killer of the new Fishman Pirates, not an ordinary cadre. The killer has a very keen sense of murderousness. When he saw Chen Mu approaching them, he silently put down the jug. His hand slowly rested on the hilt of the sword, his expression extremely solemn. Oh, it turned out to be an inferior race, a human who doesn't know whether to live or die. It's blocking the way of Uncle Ben, hurry up and get out. Hammond stared at Chen Mu's unscrupulous approach, and scolded him angrily. Chen Mu's eyes narrowed slightly, and the corners of his mouth raised an intriguing arc. He walked in front of this person and said calmly, a cadre of the Fishman Pirates. I know it's not going away. Before Hammond finished speaking, he saw a brown tanuki tucked under the person's armpit. No, this is the pet of the Straw Hat Pirates, Chopper. Hammond frowned, lost in thought. What's the matter? Did the Straw Hats get defeated as soon as they entered the island? Leopard Zhang took a step forward seemingly carelessly, blocking half of Hammond's body, and said drunkenly, those who have the guts to come to Fishman Street are strong, and they are partners we are willing to make. After he finished speaking, he handed the jug in his hand to Chen Mu. Chen Mu looked at the wavy octopus swordsman in front of him, and Vivi was stunned. Immediately, I thought that this guy seemed to be a blue-ringed octopus, as if. Or a poisonous one. Chen Mu despised Isho, reached out to take the wine jug, and the transparent wave Vivi rippled. Bang tilde tilde tilde. The right hand holding the jug instantly hit Leopard Zhang's head. What happened at this moment made everyone present unable to react, and even the party involved, Leopard Zhang, was full of question marks. The sword in his hand was only half drawn before it was knocked to the ground, his head buzzing. You must know that a powerful swordsman wants to make an instant slash, such as drawing the sword. At such a close distance, ordinary people have no time to react. Chen Mu was good, picked up the wine jug, armed, and completed it in one go. The last one smashed him unconscious, and the ground was instantly smashed out of cracks. Hammond Vivi was stunned, looked at the cracks spreading under his feet, and looked at Leopard Zhang in the center of the cracks, swallowing subconsciously. Hammond sweated coldly on his back, looked at Chen Mu with a smile on his face, and took a step back subconsciously. You, what are you doing? Boss Hody is here. Chen Mu waved his hand impatiently and forcibly interrupted. Shut up and take me to see your boss. Hammond looked at him dumbfounded. This guy, isn't he afraid of death? Our new Fishman pirates have medicine, he wants to enter our base camp. Chen Mu looked at Hammond's idiot expression and felt that he would be forcibly demoted if he continued to chat. The corners of his mouth twitched, and an extremely fast hand knife slashed at Hammond's stout neck. With another bang, Hammond hit his head with the ground, and a new crack spread again. And Hammond also successfully stepped into the footsteps of the drunken swordsman Leopard Possession. Chen Mu stepped over the bodies of the two and walked into the darkness. It didn't take long for a tall figure to pass through the ruins, knocked down a famous pirate cadre, and appeared at the gate of the new Fishman pirates' base camp. Oh, no one. Chen Mu walked into this dimly lit room and glanced left and right, but did not find the figure of Fishman leader Hody Jones. Scratched his head in confusion. Could it be that they have already arrived at the Dragon Palace? At this time, a red treasure chest in the corner caught Chen Mu's attention, and Chopper, who was lying on top of Chen Mu's head, also sniffed instinctively and smelled some kind of medicine. When Chen Mu ran in all the way, Chopper was already awake, but after seeing all the vicious Fishman around him being turned over by Chen Mu, he chose to stay honest. Chen Mu took 2 steps forward, opened the red treasure box, and a box full of red pills came into Chen Mu's eyes. Chen Mu chuckled lightly, touched the chopper above his head, and exclaimed, "He's done." Ding! Found the original world item, medicine. With a wave of Chen Mu's hand, the treasure chest suddenly became empty, and thousands of red pills appeared in the system space. Chen Mu Vivi raised his head, glanced upward, and said, "Chopper, give me the blue wave ball." Chopper shuddered, looking forward with a horrified expression, tears of fear shed from the corners of his eyes. This uncle is going to rob me, he really is a bad guy, Luffy. Zoro. Chen Mu rolled his eyes and was speechless. Can't you just say these words in your heart? It's embarrassing to have to say them. Chen Mu sighed lightly, reached out and lifted the chopper above his head, looked up and down, then put his hand into its yellow and white striped vest and groped for it. Pulled out 3 yellow balls. This is blue wave ball. Chen Mu raised his eyebrows, his expression was weird, and he scolded the 3 yellow pills in his heart. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the original world item, blue wave ball. Ding! The items are complete, the automatic combination starts. Ding! The special fishing rod combination is completed, the fishing giant's gate is about to start, please prepare the host. Chapter 15 Chopper vs Giant. Rumbling rumble tilde. The whole of Fishman Street was still shaking violently. Huge cracks appeared on the street and began to spread rapidly around, and low-rise houses began to collapse in pieces. Chen Mu stomped hard and smashed through the roof. Watching this catastrophic scene from high in the sky, his brows furrowed tightly. Since this time the system was fishing automatically, there was no chance for Chen Mu to prepare at all. On the ground, the more powerful cadres woke up one after another, picked up their companions who had not yet had time to wake up, and ran towards the distance. Chen Mu shook his head helplessly, and Vivi sighed. This street where the illegal group gathers is actually a large orphan shelter. Because of the poor management of the upper-level Fishman, this has led to the gradual degeneration of these Fishman who lacked love. Rumbling, rumbling. The cracks are still spreading, dividing the entire Fishman Street in half. The houses are turned into ruins, and the collapsed boulders keep pressing on the Fishman who are fleeing. Chen Mu slowly jumped off the roof with a solemn expression. The right fist was slowly closed at the waist, and a layer of transparent waves began to ripple from the front of the fist. Phew! Standing at the end of the street, Chen Mu opened his eyes instantly and punched out his right fist. The sound of the sonic boom sounded, and the violent wind rushed towards the opposite side. Where the shock wave passed, the boulders turned into powder. Fortunately, the range of the fist style was 2 meters above the ground, and Fishman, who was standing unsteadily, was able to escape. The rumbling sound remained, the entire Fishman Street completely collapsed, and a huge incomparable white steam spewed out from the cracks in the ground. Fishman Street was completely reduced to rubble, and the huge bubble that enveloped it began to shake violently, feeling like it would shatter at any time. Chen Mu looked at the deformed bubble above his head and comforted the chopper above his head. Can't go on like this. Chen Mu lifted Chopper down and put it on the ground. Then the figure flashed and appeared at the top of the huge portal. At this time, only 1/5 of the giant's gate is exposed. The temperature of the white steam was extremely high, causing some of Chen Mu's scalp to gradually turn red. Chen Mu held his breath, his legs spread apart, and his fists began to charge. Boom! 2 serious punches slammed down, making the slowly rising giant gate pause. The rumbling sound stopped, and the broken earth returned to peace. Chopper's eyes were wide open, his small body trembled, but he still stared at the giant door firmly. A voice kept ringing in my head. Do you want to be fully recognized by your friends? Do you want the bounty to exceed 100 Baileys? Chen Mu jumped down from the top of the giant gate and landed next to Chopper. Vivi frowned at the horrified Chopper. Chen Mu stretched out his right hand and picked up Chopper. When he was about to put it on the top of his head to comfort him, a huge roar came from behind him and went out. Chen Mu turned around in an instant and looked at the half-open giant door, which was rapidly cracking. Bang! The first shard fell from above the giant gate. Slowly, more and more fragments began to fall off and hit the ruins at the bottom of the bubble. Suddenly, a pair of huge red hands stretched out from the door. The giant hand has no skin, and is covered with red strips of muscle fibers and white mucus on it. Roar! There was another huge roar, and the giant hand grabbed the door frame and stretched his head out with difficulty. The huge head was exposed in front of everyone, and the white steam slid from both sides of the cheeks and floated back. Chen Mu no longer hesitated, he took Chopper down, put it under his arm, and rushed over. A punch hit the giant's head fiercely. With a loud bang, accompanied by the giant's wailing, he was smashed into the door. Chen Mu and Chopper chased in. As soon as the picture turned, there were a few white clouds floating in the dim yellow sky, and the setting sun was slowly falling towards the ground. One person and one deer fell from the sky and landed on the tall boulder city wall. A giant nearly 60 meters long lay on his back on the ground, howling in pain. Chen Mu took a closer look. The giant's forehead was sunken, and countless small cracks spread, revealing that it was slowly cracking. From their point of view, they could just see half of the figure at the back of the giant's neck. Chen Mu raised his eyebrows, glanced at Chopper with a strange expression, and said in his heart, "I'm sorry, little Chopper, I accidentally destroyed your good fortune." The giant was still wailing, but the injury was repairing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chen Mu Vivi breathed a sigh of relief, really afraid that this thing would be knocked out with one punch. Chopper's shoulders seriously, and said, "Chopper, it's up to you, come on." After speaking, the figure flashed and disappeared. Chopper looked at the giant that was slowly climbing up in front of him, and tears came out of his eyes. Drop yo .. Just then, 3 yellow pills rolled to Chopper's feet. My Lambo. Chopper hurriedly picked up the Rambo and put it in his arms. Boom .. With a loud bang, a huge palm rested on the city wall, and the rubble on the city wall splashed. Chopper looked at his palm, which was no more than 5 meters away from him, and fled frantically. Boom tilde tilde. Another giant hand came up, blocking Chopper's path. I started crying like this. Chen Mu leaned back against the huge wall, listening to the miserable cry of Chopper above. His forehead was covered with black lines. A huge head slowly rose from under the huge wall, leaving only a small white pupil in the dark eye socket. A great pressure enveloped Chopper's body. Chopper's brown hair stood on end and his body was shaking. The supergiant opened its huge mouth and slowly bit towards Chopper. Click. The first blue wave ball, Chopper, was chewed and swallowed. Strengthen your legs. Chopper transforms into a serious reindeer and escapes just before the giant bites it. The rushing figure did not stop, jumped at a high speed, stepped on the back of the giant's hand, and fled towards the distance. The giant roared angrily, and the giant hand that had been stepped on grabbed it towards Chopper. Chopper, who was running with his head down, suddenly felt that the sky was dark, and his body jumped hard, avoiding the clenched palm below. The forelimb slapped his chest, and a yellow pill jumped out, grabbed by the deer's mouth, and bit hard. Click. After eating the second blue wave ball, the muscles of Chopper's limbs swelled suddenly and became stronger and stronger. After landing, he turned around, glared fiercely, and returned the gaze of the oversized giant. Antlers strengthening. A pair of deer antlers grew extremely fast, turned into a giant of 2 meters, and rushed towards the face of the supergiant. Puff! The white steam erupted instantly, and Chopper was hit by the frantic steam, and his body quickly flew upside down, and the fur all over his body was scalded red. Chopper fell to the ground in pain. Observation hockey restrained, Chen Mu shook his head and sighed, and was about to jump up the city wall and interfere in the battle. Click. At this moment, a crisp chewing sound sounded. Chen Mu's figure paused, the corners of his mouth raised Vivi, and he nodded with satisfaction. Chapter 16. Abandoning the sober form, Chopper goes berserk. Hee, turn on the rampant form. Wrong. According to the trend of the plot, the Chopper in 2 years should be able to briefly control the rampage form. Chen Mu suddenly realized something was wrong. He pinched his chin and fell into contemplation. Roar. A huge roar pulled Chen Mu out of his thoughts. Chen Mu no longer hesitated, looked up at the tall city wall, and charged Vivi with both feet. Collapse tilde tilde. The ground under his feet was cracked, and Chen Mu had already jumped onto the city wall. The oversized giant on the left raised his head slightly and looked at the giant monster on the opposite side, not caring about Chen Mu's appearance. Chen Mu looked to the right, and his expression gradually became stiff. No wonder the 60-meter-high giant needs to raise its head. Chopper's completely runaway form is probably 70 meters high. After looking at it for a while, Chen Mu lowered his head, rubbed his somewhat sore neck, and said helplessly, "Ha, this time the system has a wave of reverse operations, the beneficiary should become a giant." However, the two monsters did not know what Chen Mu was thinking, so they raised their huge palms and patted each other. Bang! The two giant palms collided fiercely, and a huge roar sounded. A violent wave spread to the surroundings, making Chen Mu's white cloak rumble. Facing the strong wind blowing in his face, Chen Mu was expressionless, and even missed his black hair a little. C tilde tilde tilde. A burst of white steam erupted, covering the giant's body in an instant. At the same time, the terrifying high temperature emitted, and Chopper roared in pain. Before he could retract his right palm, a red fist rushed out from the steam, ruthlessly. Hit the monster Chopper's jaw hard. Boom! Chopper fell to the ground, smashing the ground with a thick layer of dust. The supergiant's offensive didn't stop. He raised his right foot and stomped hard on the fallen Chopper. When Chen Mu saw this, his face was full of anger, his teeth were clenched tightly, and he could not wait to punch him. After struggling violently in his heart, he finally gritted his teeth, tilted his head, and loosened his clenched fists. This is Chopper's trial. Moreover, even a giant less than level 300 can't kill a rampaging Chopper with more than level 200 at once. I'm Chen Mu, there with you for the first time. Looking closely, I found that the muscle lines of the giant's legs swelled up instantly, and a heavy foot stepped on Chopper's abdomen, and Chopper let out a painful howl again. Chen Mu's breath was short, and his fists couldn't help clenching tightly. The giant's body slowly leaned forward, as if he wanted to focus his entire body's gravity on his right foot, so that Chopper wouldn't have any chance of turning over. Chopper's huge animal head that swayed from side to side raised high, let out a loud roar, and his thick and long right arm swept across, and the brown hair on the animal arm also fluttered. A snap, Chopper's 5 black fingers grabbed the giant's ankle and lifted it up. The giant lost his balance and stepped back 3 steps, almost falling to the ground. Monster Chopper slowly stood up from the ground, his pupils radiating orchid light did not reveal a hint of color, and his huge palms separated to the left and right slapped the giant angrily. The arms of the supergiant slowly raised, before they could fully cross, were hit by Chopper's huge palm, and even his own fist slammed into the chest. Bang tilde tilde. The giant really fell to the ground this time. Chopper raised his arms high, raised his head to the sky and let out a long roar, his black fingers clenched into fists, and smashed towards the fallen giant with a violent wind. The sound of the collision between the hard fist and the flesh sounded, and the shoulders of the supergiant were smashed into flesh. His shoulders were smashed, and 2 days of huge muscular arms fell, smashing a cloud of dust. Chen Mu's eyes narrowed slightly, and he counted the time silently in his heart. There were only a few tens of seconds before 3 minutes, and it was almost time for him to take action. This time, Chopper is in the form of an oversized monster that is directly used, and his vitality is constantly being consumed. In fact, there is no way, although it is possible to transform without using a blue wave ball, but the monster form, physique in the awake state is simply incomparable to the supergiant. There was a cloud of white mist from the corner of Chopper's mouth, which was obviously a sign of excessive physical exertion. VV's tall body swayed and almost fell to the city wall beside him, but he managed to stabilize in time. Giant roared in pain, Chopper took 2 steps back, and his drooping arms grabbed the giant's ankles. At this moment, a mutation suddenly occurred. Scoff tilde, tilde. The white steam suddenly spewed out, covering the giant's figure, and Chopper was scalded by the high-temperature steam and took 2 steps back again, roaring furiously. After a while, the steam dissipated, and the figure of the oversized giant disappeared completely. Chen Mu jumped up and jumped out of this giant's space with a huge antler. In the dark deep-sea world, a giant bubble is full of broken walls, and a giant door that is about to burst. The bubble shatters with a hard sound. Chen Mu took Chopper and rammed it out. After all, only 1/5 of the giant's gate was exposed, and most of it was hidden in the void below, but this was enough space for Chopper to come out sideways. Boo tilde. A light sound, Chen Mu grabbed Chopper's antlers and slammed it, breaking the bubbles above his head, and the violent seawater poured in, and the gravel streets fell one after another. Swim. Chopper again, he has regained the appearance of a group pet, his little face wrinkled into a ball, slowly sinking down and sinking. Chen Mu pinched his nose with his left hand, his cheeks bulging round. Among the falling boulders, I found a huge stone slab, and with a kick with my feet, I quickly approached Chopper at a very fast speed. Chen Mu put Chopper under his arm and looked left and right. In the silent and dark deep sea, he couldn't see anything, but fortunately it didn't matter, he still had a map. The curled body unfolded and swam towards the blue cursor on the map. Blue cursor was naturally Luffy and the others, who were much happier than Chopper at this time. Luffy and others still followed the development of the plot, were rescued by Kami, took a bubble turtle, and swam from the bottom of the red coral apartment to the top. It didn't take long for everyone to reach the surface of the sea, and the graceful mermaids were enjoying themselves. Everyone was amazed by the sight in front of them. Is this heaven? With tears streaming down his face, Sanji fell to his knees, unable to control himself with excitement. At this time, a pure white lotus arm stretched out from the side, grabbed Sanji's wrist, and the crisp voice of Yuji came over. Are you entering illegally? It's wild tilde, but it doesn't matter, I like pirates very much. After speaking, he pulled Sanji into the water, and all the beauties covered their mouths and chuckled. 2 years later, Sanji finally ushered in the best moment of his life. Luffy and Chopper, with bubbles over their bodies, sat on the rocks beside them, laughing as they watched Sanji having fun. Usopp's eyes lit up and he said with emotion, "It's really a fairy tale world, the Coral Continent, Mermaid Bay." Chapter 17 It's not me, I don't have it, don't talk nonsense. Dark deep sea. Chen Mu kept holding his breath, swiped with his right hand, dragged Chopper with his left, and swam towards the blue marker on the map. It's been a long time. Although there is no hypoxia, the experience of being immersed in the cold sea water is very bad. Besides, Chopper doesn't know how long it can last. Hey, there's a boat ahead. Chen Mu's eyes lit up, his legs swayed again, and he swam towards the bubble boat with the Dragon Palace City logo on it. At this time, the 3 Neptune brothers in the cabin were also rushing towards the Mermaid Bay. The 3 brothers met the seaman Jinbei in the forest of the sea, and were responsible for conveying the message of "Don't fight with Hody Jones," and "Meet in the forest of the sea afterwards." Due to the slow communication between Fishman Island and the outside world, Jinbei specially gave him a stack of wanted notices. The old shark star with blue wavy curly hair read the wanted notices of the Straw Hats one by one, and handed it to the slender second king star with a long bunch of red hair on his head, and then the old 3 overturned star. After confirming one by one, the 3 brothers looked at each other and fell silent. Just then, a boo sounded. Chen Mu passed through the bubble, fell into the cabin, put the chopper on the ground, and quickly turned end circles in place. The water droplets attached to the battle suit shot around like bullets. The poor third prince and the other Nautilus knights didn't have time to be surrounded by the future, and they were shot by the water droplets. Mild screams of pain echoed in the boat. When Chen Mu heard the sound, the rapidly spinning figure hurriedly stopped, and looked at the people on the ground apologetically. Forgiving his shiny bald head, he said, "You guys. Are you okay? Ouch tilde tilde. His tilde tilde tilde." However, what answered him was still a cry of pain and the voices of the 3 princes gasping for air. This scene became embarrassing all of a sudden. Originally, I was here to rub the boat. This is good. I just got on the boat and accidentally threw the whole boat down. If I said that I had no malicious intentions, they probably wouldn't believe it. Chopper, who was lying on the ground, spit out 2 mouthfuls of seawater and woke up in time. The cute little reindeer sat up, raised his 2 fingers and hoofs, rubbed his head, and slowly opened his eyes. Chen Mu looked at Chopper who woke up, raised his eyebrows Vivi, his expression was a little surprised, and said in his heart, "I just said, the system has given a notification that the task has been completed." Chopper should have awakened to a new constitution, it seems. It's about having the resilience of a giant. Damn, Chen Mu was shocked, the resilience of giants. Isn't that immortal? That thing I remember is that it won't die if its head is blown off. Chopper, this is the rhythm of turning over and calling the shots. After the undead Kaido, there is another undead Chopper. The marine uncles are going crazy. Of Chen Mu's eyes Vivi twitched, and the muscles on his face were shaking uncontrollably. Chopper, who was completely sober, looked at the people in front of him to the end, his misty eyes instantly regained clarity, and the doctor's parents' heart skills were triggered. Poof tilde chirp tilde poof tilde chirp. With unique footsteps, he hurriedly ran to the people in front of him, took off the small blue backpack, opened it, took out various items, and began to bandage and heal the wounds for everyone. After a while, Chopper wiped the unwanted sweat on his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief, thinking, fortunately, everyone's injuries are not serious. Bowed to Chopper in front of him to thank him. Idiot tilde 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 I won't be happy even if you thank me tilde. Chopper squinted his eyes and his cheeks were flushed, his arms waving in waves, and he said this line of disobedience very arrogantly. The corners of Chen Mu's mouth twitched, and he looked at the little reindeer who had just laid the giant on his back with some speechlessness. But, this shy style is exactly the same as in the comics, with a little flavor. That, Chen Mu hesitated for a while, but decided to apologize first. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Hearing this familiar voice, Chopper's exciting style instantly faded, and the fur all over his body shook back and forth from top to bottom, and then from bottom to top. The extremely fast speed instantly hid behind the Shark Star First Prince. Just hide the antlers, but the whole body is still exposed in front of Chen Mu's eyes. Then he stammered and said, but, terrible uncle tilde tilde. Quote. Please, is it me who saved you, or else you would have already become a baba in the belly of a fish? Chen Mu rolled his eyes helplessly. No, Chopper, you go first. He could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Chopper's cute voice. Big uncle, I don't have any blue wave balls to grab for you. I already gave it back to you. Chen Mu roared angrily. Everyone first glanced at the savior, Dr. Chopper, and then quickly raised their heads, hostile to the intruder, who suddenly broke in. Looking at the hostility in everyone's eyes, Chen Mu weakly opened his mouth. I, Chen Mu, have been in society for decades, and this is the first time I have seen a black-hearted doctor like you, but what happened just a few minutes ago, you actually denied me the account. Hey, Chen Mu laughed angrily and turned his head away. Everyone present suddenly understood that it was the good doctor who met the human trafficker. The Nautilus Knight held the trident with a solemn expression, and surrounded Chen Mu who was sitting on the ground. Chen Mu sighed lightly and was speechless. What kind of strength you fish are, don't you know in your heart, and you still surround me. The great Prince Shaoxing holds the golden trident in his left hand and Chopper in his right hand. There are white round spots on the dark blue fishtail. Because the lower body is the fishtail, he is sitting on the bubble and slowly drifting towards Chen Mu. The knights holding the swords gradually separated. The three mermaid princes slowly floated in front of Chen Mu, looking at him with serious expressions. Then the three brothers looked at each other, and all Vivi shook their heads. Who are you and why are you with the Straw Hat Pirate's pet? No, I'm not a pet. Chopper turned his head stiffly, his face expressionless, and his short forelimbs waved in front of Shark Star, expressing his dissatisfaction. Shark Star Vivi leaned back, glanced at Chopper in surprise, and changed his words. Why are you with the doctor of the Straw Hat Pirates? Hem. Chopper nodded earnestly. Vivi twitched at the corner of Chen Mu's mouth, took a deep breath, and forced himself to calm down in front of the pair of living treasures. I'm its mate. Seeing Chopper's weird look, he rolled his eyes and added, they're Captain Luffy's mate. Hearing this, Chopper regained his expression. Wait for me, you arrogant dead reindeer. Chen Mu glanced at Chopper angrily. Then why did you suddenly attack our ship tilde? The slender second prince asked. Because he likes to sing, the ending of his speech is always habitually with scales. Chen Mu Vivi tilted his head and looked at the prince with two western swords pinned to his waist, and replied blankly, it's not me, I don't have one, don't talk nonsense. At this moment, the fat third prince who liked to sing and dance, shook his huge body and squeezed out, just about to speak. Well, I admit it, but I didn't mean to. Chen Mu couldn't bear such a scene. The twisting dance of the red rollover Fishman was already irritating to the eyes. If it was accompanied by singing, I guess it would be broken here. Hearing this, the great Prince Shark Star and the serious Chopper nodded at the same time. Quote. This guy Chopper. Chen Mu took a deep breath, closed his eyes and stopped looking at it, but the blue veins on his forehead jumped up from time to time, Obviously, he is not a qualified expression management master. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. A group of Nautilus Knights looked at the three princes. What they wanted to express was how to deal with the intruder. The three princes looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. This person's strength is beyond the standard. The eldest prince waved his hand and asked the knights to take back their weapons, looking at Chen Mu and said, "Since you are a friend of the Straw Hat Boy, please help me with this. Brother Jinbei told you not to fight Hody Jones, and he waiting for you in the forest of the sea." Chopper with a bewildered face and said softly, "Brother Jinbei is a good friend of the Straw Hat Boy." "Hey, Luffy's new friend tilde. Chopper tilted his head suspiciously, a hint of doubt flashed in his big fluttering eyes, and then quickly faded away. When intelligence enhancement is not prescribed, it is just an ordinary doctor, not the resourceful general. Chen Mu raised Vivi's eyebrows, dealt with it casually, and closed his eyes again. Everyone also returned to their original positions, waiting for the end of this trip. ... Mermaid Bay. Sanji still has a spring heart sprouting look on his face, and he has a lot to do with a group of beautiful mermaids. Luffy was covered in swimming coating, sitting bored on the shore, kicking small waves with his feet. Mermaid Kami covered her mouth and chuckled, looking at Sanji who was having fun in the distance. Usopp stood beside Luffy with his hands on his hips, turned his head to look at Sanji. Vivi sighed, "I hope Sanji doesn't bleed anymore. Chopper doesn't know where he was taken by that guy." "Oh, did you say Chen Mu?" Vivi was startled and took over the topic instantly. "Yeah, Luffy, do you know him well, and he seems to be about the same age as us. Why do you call him uncle?" "He is a very strong partner. Why do you call him uncle?" "Well, because he defeated Uncle Rley. I think they are equally powerful, so I call him uncle, hee." Usopp and Kami stared at Luffy in amazement, obviously in disbelief. "Uncle Rley has the strength of Admiral, can't he beat that guy?" Usopp asked again in disbelief. "Yeah." Luffy still squinted and laughed, then added, "And he taught me how to use the three-color hockey." "Teach you how to use hockey? Well, by the way, he seems to have taken my hat and changed it, and since then I think my straw hat has become weird." Luffy took off the straw hat from the top of his head and stared blankly at the somewhat different straw hat, his face full of doubts. Then he let go of Isho, raised the straw hat above his head and turned it twice, and then buckled it on his head. He said with a smile, "Never mind, he won't hurt me anyway." "Hey, Luffy, don't keep trusting people so easily." Usopp approached Luffy's ear mysteriously, his eyes circled around twice, and he said cheaply, "Ha ha ha ha." Luffy let out a string of cheerful laughter, apparently ignoring Usopp's warning. On the other side of the island, Frankie took Robin and smoothly reunited with Nami who was waiting on the shore. Although Nami was terrified when she suddenly jumped out of the water. At this time, the ship of Dragon Palace also entered Fishman Island from the correct entrance. Chapter 18 The first appearance of the blind box function, the secret treasure, Jade Hand Box. Chen Mu and Chopper saw the legendary Sunshine Eve, and the brilliant sunshine under the 10,000-meter deep sea. This person and a beast were dumbfounded at the same time. Feeling the sunshine again, they stretched their tired bodies very comfortably. Long Miyagi entered Fishman Island very smoothly through a specific route. Entering Fishman Island, the speed of the boat becomes slow. Bored Chen Mu sat on the bow of the boat, took out the fishing rod and started a long fishing journey. Sudden desire to fish is not because of the completion of the Chopper quest, but the special bait for the Chopper quest that he has to keep synthetic. The right reason for fishing is because he suddenly noticed that the icon for the blind box function lights up. This suddenly lit up after he had collected the box of poison. ... Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully fishing with poisonous medicine and obtaining a blind box 1. The blind box was caught not long after the rod was dropped, which surprised Chen Mu. Put away the fishing rod, Sink your mind into the system space, look at the extra white gift box in the storage space, tap it lightly, and open it. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting 100 Bailey. Chen Mu's facial muscles twitched and his hands were shaking non-stop, obviously because he was very angry. I don't believe it anymore, come again. Chen Mu took out his fishing rod again, held his breath, and sat on the side of the boat angrily and started fishing. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully fishing with S poisonous medicine and obtaining a blind box 1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully fishing with S poisonous medicine and obtaining a blind box 1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully fishing with S poison. Chen Mu closed the shot, this time he accumulated 10 blind boxes, and he was going to have 10 consecutive hits. In my heart, I recited, European Emperor's Blessing. Open. Open black lens bracket ding, ding, ding. Asterisk 10 close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for getting 50 Bailey. Congratulations to the host for getting 250 Bailey. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for getting. Close black lens bracket. 10 consecutive openings give extra rewards, 1 million Bailey. Close black lens bracket. Gone. Chen Mu was so angry that he wanted to flip the table, just this little thing was not enough for the meal that Nami plundered from him. Off. Whoever likes to play with this broken system, I won't take your breath away. ... After a while, a taciturn figure came out of the cabin, lowered his head, sat on the bow expressionlessly, and took out a fishing rod. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully fishing with S poisonous medicine and obtaining a blind box 1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully fishing with S poisonous medicine and obtaining a blind box 1. Chen Mu was full of unwillingness, gritted his teeth and used up all the murderous medicines, just caught 100 blind boxes. Hee hee, the blind box numbers brought by these ominous medicines are very auspicious. Chen Mu's mouth twitched a few times, then he stood up suddenly and kicked the fishing rod beside him fiercely. Who are you celebrating the festival for? I look down on being single. Yes. Quote. Chen Mu's resentment echoed in the sky, and it has not dissipated for a long time. After venting, Chen Mu took a deep breath and sat down. His mind sank into the system space again, looking at the familiar fishing rod in the first slot of the inventory. Incompetent and furious, he clicked all the white gift boxes frantically. The system prompts endlessly, and Bailey's numbers keep turning up. This may be the most money-hating day in Chen Mu's history. Ding! Bailey Onkai will give you an additional reward, Jade Hand Box Legendary. Close black lens bracket. Chen Mu was still immersed in the sound of the system bombardment. Ding! Sound of the extra reward disappeared for a long time that Chen Mu, who had no love on his face, slowly regained his senses. Like a machine, he lowered his mind, opened the system storage space, glanced at the amount of Bailey in the lower right corner, slowly moved his eyes away, and looked at an overall black, gold-trimmed luxurious treasure chest, subconsciously. Just clicked. Ding! Whether to use items, Jade Hand Box Legendary, yes, no. Close black lens bracket. Yes. No. Chen Mu was taken aback. Jade Hand Box. OMG, almost detonated a nuke in space. This thing almost blew up Auntie's Cake Island. At this time, in the treasure house full of gold coins and treasures in the Dragon Palace City, the luxurious treasure chest that was originally at the top suddenly disappeared. The Dragon Palace City was flying slowly under the blue sky, and the bright and not dazzling sunlight was transmitted to the deep sea below 10,000 meters through the Yangshu Eve, like a country in midsummer. Chopper sat on the shoulder of the first prince, Shaoxing, followed by the two princes, who floated out of the cabin and stood side by side with Chen Mu at the bow. I have to say that after staying in the dark sea for so long, suddenly coming to such a beautiful and wonderful place is really heartwarming. Chen Mu opened his arms, raised his head and stretched his waist. Chopper, eyes were full of light, looking at the blue waterway in the distance. His little face was full of happiness and joy. The bubble water channel is a semicircular channel erected in the air, and the two ends are directly connected to the water surface below. There is slow-flowing seawater in the channel, and various fish schools swim in it. Occasionally, one or two mermaids with a graceful figure and only two shells covering their chests can be seen swimming freely in it. As the Dragon Palace slowly approached, everyone gradually saw the scenery below. There are several beautiful figures on the blue and white circular reef. The smiling mermaids are either lying down, and their graceful postures can be seen at a glance. The smooth long hair hangs down naturally, and the hands support the cheeks of the white and pretty face. Looking at Chen Mu and the others floating slowly above, the corners of the mouth evoke a charming arc, which really makes Mu boil. Solo mother for more than 25 years, could not control his madly beating heart at this time. He was deeply attracted by the magnificent scenery. Exciting picture. The mermaids stood upright with their soft waists, and waved and screamed at the three princes at the bow. Chen Mu also responded positively and interacted with the fans below. The boat stopped 10 meters above the coral reef, and the beautiful mermaids cheered. A loud horn sounded. Chen Mu jumped off the boat first, followed by the three princes with a group of Nautilus Knights. His Royal Highness Shark Star tilde. Looking at the noble princes close at hand, the beautiful mermaids were very enthusiastic. The corner of Chen Mu's mouth twitched, and he looked at the three bandaged princes with black lines, and walked to the side silently. Hey, after all, it's still a fish, not aesthetic. Chen Mu shook his head and comforted himself. That, Your Excellency Chen Mu. The first Prince Shaoxing looked around, but did not find the Straw Hats and his group, and said to the lonely figure beside him. What are you doing? Chen Mu was angry and replied without turning his head. You're sure the Straw Hat is here? Hey, are you questioning me? Chen Mu obviously didn't want to talk to this flamboyant man, and said casually, Okay, just send me here, you can go back. After finishing speaking, he also hooked his finger to the chopper on the shoulder of the Shark Star. Chopper's little face was wrinkled into a ball, and he glanced at Shaoxing with some reluctance, burst into tears, looked very depressed, and slowly walked towards Chen Mu. Shark Star Vivi frowned, not because of Chen Mu's attitude, but because he didn't directly pass the message to Luffy himself, which made him a little uneasy. After all, Jinbei personally explained it. Chen Mu looked at the reluctant chopper, picked up its collar, and walked towards the reef where Luffy was hiding. The reason why Shaoxing and others were still waiting in place, Chen Mu guessed, it was just because he couldn't trust him. He was not in the wanted list of the Straw Hat Pirates. He simply didn't bother to talk too much, and directly called Luffy and others out. Chen Mu jumped lightly, jumped onto a pink-white coral reef, and said to Luffy below, Come out, these people have something to say to you. Then he remembered something, and added, It was Jinbei who asked him to come over and look for it. Yours. Jinbei. Luffy raised his head and glanced at Chen Mu above, his eyes flashing with excitement. After speaking, Chen Mu turned around, sat down, and threw chopper on Luffy's head. With a click, the chopper headgear fit perfectly on Luffy's straw hat. A group of mermaids bit their lips, and their eyes were full of worry. They looked at the reef where Luffy was hiding, and prayed secretly in their hearts not to expose it. Several princes noticed the abnormality of the mermaids, looked at each other, and slowly floated in the direction of Chen Mu. With bubbles at the waist or at the tail of the fish. Chapter 19 The Marine Transaction. At this moment, Luffy with a big smile flashed out from behind the stone and ran towards the princes. A group of knights stepped forward in an instant and stood in front of the three princes. The tridents flashing coldly pointed at Luffy, with the words, No strangers entering, written on their faces. Luffy made a sudden stop, tilted his head, and waved at the princes behind the knight. Hey, Jinbei asked you to come to me. Where is he? Has he decided to be my partner? These three consecutive questions are very good and reckless, but it's Luffy. style, that's right. Chen Mu rolled his eyes in a speechless manner, turned around, and looked at the sky in the distance. The great Prince Xiaoxing took out the wanted order and checked it carefully. The three brothers looked at each other and walked out from behind the knights. Yes, it's Brother Jinbei. Xiaoxing nodded seriously. Oh, Brother Jinbei, I didn't expect this guy's status to be quite high, ha ha ha. After speaking, Luffy laughed to himself. Quote. You just called Big Brother on your own side, and you just call this guy, it's too natural to take advantage of it. The muscles on the faces of the three princes twitched, feeling offended. Sharkstar forcibly calmed down, coughed twice, and said to himself, Brother Jinbei has told us about your deeds, and he is full of praise for your performance in the battle 2 years ago. What about me? Luffy smiled and pointed his right index finger to his cheek, asking with a puzzled look. Yes. Xiaoxing's tone was extremely positive, and there seemed to be a trace of reverence in his eyes. Brother Jinbei said, if you hadn't fought against Admiral, our benefactor of Fishman Island, Your Excellency Whitebeard, might have been seriously injured or even. Speaking of this, the faces of the three princes suddenly became a little more sad. Hearing this, the expression on Chen Mu's face suddenly froze, and he pinched his chin and began to recall the direction of the plot. Although the plot was rewritten by him, Whitebeard didn't die in the top battle, but he is old after all. And I don't know how many dark wounds there are. Fishman Island is now covered by him, but I am afraid that in a few years, it will still fall into the hands of the ant. Chen Mu's brows became tighter and tighter, and the whole person began to feel anxious inexplicably. Wait, what's my business? Chen Mu suddenly sobered up. When did I become so kind? Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the hidden mission and becoming the guardian of Fishman Island. The time limit is undetermined, and the reward is unknown. Close black lens bracket. Another unknown reward. It is estimated that it is a good thing proportional to the degree of completion, but this time there is no time limit. Is there an undeveloped plot on this Fishman Island? Chen Mu frowned in thought, and began to ponder the plot of the Fishman Island chapter over and over again in his heart. In the distance, the head of the Straw Hat Pirates chatted with the three princes of Neptune, and Usopp and Sanji also came out from behind the coral rock. A group of beautiful mermaids patted their towering breasts and breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, Uncle, we're going to the banquet, are you going? Luffy waved at Chen Mu. Banquet. Chen Mu was stunned, then turned his gaze to the three princes, and immediately understood. Hee, these three little brothers want to make friends with Luffy, the big pirate with a bounty of 1 billion, who happens to be Jinbei's friend. Go on, I have something to do, I won't. Chen Mu Vivi Isho, just about to refuse, suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Yes. When the time comes, Whitebeard will be warped, let the Straw Hat Pirates top this pit, Fishman Island, let him cover it. But the aunt of one of the 4 emperors is a problem. And, who knows how many years Whitebeard will live, if this unknown reward is still tied to the completion time, wouldn't my rating be very low? Well, okay, I'll go with you. Chen Mu propped up his hands and jumped off the tall coral rock gently, pretending to dig it out from behind, but in fact he took out a small pink prop, bubble coral, from the system space. This is one of the more conscientious props in Bailianchuan. The three princes looked at the pink props in Chen Mu's hands, raised their eyebrows Vivi, a little surprised. This guy obviously has bubble coral, why didn't he use it at that time? Everyone boarded the boat one after another and flew straight up. The entire Fishman Island is divided into upper and lower layers. The geographical location of Mermaid Bay belongs to Shanghai, while Dragon Palace City is located in Shanghai, which is the top of the entire Fishman Island. Chen Mu and his party drove towards the depths of the sky, looking at the smaller and smaller buildings below, then turned their heads and looked at the white clouds slowly drifting by. The magical sun tree Eve, its roots can not only conduct sunlight and air, but also conduct the weather outside, except for the night. In the process of everyone's march, they can also see many dark blue bubbles. The bubbles are full of seawater. There are small castles or high-end houses, and noble Fishman nobles live. When they see the three princes on the bow, they will be enthusiastic. The princes will also nod their heads in response. Above the sea, impelled down. A man in a justice uniform appeared in the infinite hell, on the 6th floor. 2 years have passed since the war on the top, and Blackbeard and his party have also been detained for nearly 2 years. But compared to being beaten to death by Chen Mu and losing his freedom for 2 years, it was obviously a relatively mild punishment. A giant lava fist appeared, melting the iron gate of the prison where Blackbeard Teach was imprisoned into a giant hole. The extremely high-temperature molten iron dripped on the ground, making a sizzling sound, and choking thick smoke rose wantonly. Gia. Blackbeard looked at the figure in front of him and smiled very strangely. I didn't expect that the person sent by the worlds would be you, absolute justice, Gia. Although he was defeated in the war, Akainu had to bear the cauldron, but he was still an admiral. He was ridiculed wantonly by a former Shichibukai who had become a prisoner. 2 teeth flew out with blood. Pain. Blackbeard fell to the ground in handcuffs, covering his right face and crying in pain. Akainu gave him a cold look, and said, the Shichibukai system is abolished at the upper levels, and the current marine marshal is Kuzan. Having said this, Akainu paused and gritted his teeth bitterly. Calming down a little, he continued, the upper management thinks you are still useful, because you captured Ace before, so they decided to let you go to the New World, but the request is to destroy the Whitebeard pirates. Hearing this, Teach stopped screaming, and a trace of wickedness flashed in the depths of his slightly narrowed eyes. Whitebeard is the strongest man in the world. This man used to be my father. Do you want me to be his enemy? From the moment you defected, you have been his enemy. Gia. That makes sense, but what good am I? The sneer on Blackbeard's face became stronger and stronger, staring at the desolate admiral in front of him. Let an admiral come to impel down to release the prisoners in person. I am afraid that he will be pushed out of the edge of power by the upper class. You. Akainu frowned, grabbed Teach's collar with his left hand, and picked it up from the ground. Blackbeard smiled unconcernedly and said, there is no benefit, how can the world **** move us villains? Then he seemed to think of something, and said with a weird expression, oh, I forgot, you are just an admiral, and only a marshal can make such a decision. Ha. A burst of wild laughter resounded throughout the 6th floor. ... Moments later, Akainu had a gloomy face, and was personally sent out the gate by the flattering warden Hannibal, not long after he left. Blackbeard and his party swaggered out of the prison gate and boarded a huge warship specially reserved for them. Deputy Warden Magellan, who was standing aside, kept his eyes wide open, trying to restrain himself, and the purple poison kept dripping down his clenched fists. Hannibal pinched his nose and jumped aside, waved his right hand in front of his nose, and said with a look of disgust, Deputy Warden, are you having diarrhea again? Hurry back to your own post, it stinks and stinks. As the huge warship sailed away, the gates of Impel Down were closed again. Chapter 20 Blackbeard's expansion, the looting of devil fruits begins. Luffy and his party flew upwards at a constant speed for nearly an hour at a high altitude and reached the bottom of a huge blue water balloon. Fishman Island, where the sun can be seen, Dragon Palace Castle is a large and luxurious palace built of large coral reefs, shells and other building materials, with a giant dragon entrenched in it. It is the royal base of Fishman Island. The only way to enter the Dragon Palace is through the stone round gate half the size of a football field. Everyone approached the stone round door, and the first Prince Xiaoxing stretched out his index finger and pressed the red doorbell above his head. Who is it? It's me, Xiaoxing answered coolly with his arms crossed. It's His Royal Highness, hurry up and lower the passage. Shimon thought about putting away the two sides, and then, a transparent film appeared in front of everyone, and inside was a blue seawater channel. Luffy and the others stood on the bow, looking at the entrance above their heads, their faces full of novelty. Chen Mu folded his arms around his chest, like a peerless master, and looked at the huge entrance calmly. Seeing everyone's reaction, the first Prince Xiaoxing nodded with satisfaction, then turned his head and cast an inquiring look at Chen Mu. See what I do? Chen Mu suddenly felt a doubtful gaze. Vivi raised his eyebrows, and looked back at him somewhat puzzled. Shark Star's naked brow bone. Vivi raised his eyes, turned to the straw hats, and said, Dragon Palace City is full of seawater. If it wasn't for Fishman, it might be necessary to use this. After all, he took out an identical pink coral from his arms. Luffy's eyes lit up. He took the props and started to play with his face full of novelty. Luffy held the bubble coral and pressed his thumb hard on the top. A transparent bubble quickly emerged from the bottom of the coral, gradually wrapping everyone around. Chen Mu. Vivi raised his eyes, cast a glance at the novel crowd, and fell into contemplation. He is still haunted by the blind box function, and will never admit that he is an African chief. This is the correct entrance to Dragon Palace City. Cody Jones needs to use Dakin's target fruit ability to throw his subordinates in one by one. If I keep the entrance. Thinking of this, Chen Mu suddenly becomes enlightened. Haha, laugh out loud. Everyone looked at someone who was laughing suspiciously. A light sound, the Dragon Palace, entered the Dragon Palace City, which was full of seawater. The Dragon Palace City swam towards the top at a high speed, and the colorful and prosperous underwater Dragon Palace was about to be revealed in front of everyone. And Chen Mu also sneaked into the cabin at this time, and after getting out of everyone's sight, he slowly floated towards the entrance, and everyone didn't notice that there was one person missing on the boat. After a while, the boat left the passage, and the soft sunlight shone down, making everyone's eyes bright. Looking at the fish swimming freely in front of them, and the tall and magnificent palace, the voices of amazement were endless. The three princes were all smiles, and their reactions to the crowd were very useful. However, when the first prince, Xiaoxing, wanted to appreciate the expression of the mysterious powerhouse, he suddenly found that the person was gone. At this moment, Chen Mu was enveloped in the bubble and drifted towards the entrance very slowly. The corners of Chen Mu's mouth twitched, wishing to burst the turtle speed bubble directly to the entrance, but he didn't like the feeling of being soaked in seawater, and he was extremely depressed. Alas, if only it had a swimming coating. And this time, Nami, in the prisoner's clothing store, is arguing with the boss. Wait, this customer, you are so messed up. A Fishman store manager with blonde curly hair was sweating profusely, and was very helpless. Just sell it for 10,000 Baileys. Nami stretched out her white and slender index finger, and said seriously. You are so good at cutting this guest, it's not even half the price. Bargaining is still going on. On the other side, the top administrator of Fishman Island, King Neptune, is riding his beloved whale Hoai, aimlessly patrolling his most beloved country. Due to the influence of Shira Shenman, the Sea Kings rioted collectively. Although this incident did not affect Fishman Island, but Kuniden, the king, felt that the incident did not end so easily. And his daughter's pet suddenly disappeared at a critical moment. That silly shark wearing a star costume doesn't know if it's dead or alive. A huge warship is sailing on the sea. Blackbeard Teach stood on the bow with a wicked smile on his face, and the villain crew behind him also had a cold expression, a state of preparation for battle. Got Marine's information. He first took aim at the captain of the 6th team of the Whitebeard pirates, Bramenk. Bramenk didn't have much role in the main drama, but only had a little role during the war. But according to Marine intelligence, the captain, who is not far from the drama, is suspected of possessing a devil fruit. On the sea not far from Blackbeard, there is a pirate ship with a white whale. At the top of the mast is a skull flag with a black background and a white beard printed on it. One of the 4 outer ships of the Moby Dick. Jolly Roge adorned with Whitebeard pirates. Purple smock with a purple triangle hat embroidered with a grey Whitebeard skull and crossbones, and a yellow sash at the waist. As the captain of the 6th team, he is short and chubby, with a grey complexion, and with those thick lips, he always gives people a simple and honest feeling on weekdays. He was originally naive, but at the moment, his face was full of sadness. He was ordered by Father Whitebeard to go to the pirate group under his command to inquire about the damage. But when he was about to arrive at the gathering place, not far away, he found a floating wooden barrel, and the familiar black pirate flag. Bradaman lowered his head and sighed heavily, his face full of grief. Wanderer, Dorma, who performed quite well in the top battle 2 years ago, competed with Marine Vice Admiral Moles, and cooperated with everyone to destroy several pacifists, but he was not confident. It is a pity to be able to escape this world-class disaster. Whoosh! A cannonball flew at an extremely fast speed and shocked Bramenk out of his memory state. The pupils contracted suddenly, and then reacted quickly. There was a small opening in the chin, and a very huge mallet was pulled out from it, and then the flexible body jumped up and hit the shell. Boom! The explosion sounded, the red flames shot up into the sky, and a cloud of black smoke condensed in the air, which did not dissipate for a long time. Captain! Black cloud, in the sky with worried faces. Call out! With the violent sound of the wind, a chubby figure descended from the sky and landed on the bow. Bramenki's face was dark, he spit out a puff of black smoke, and said slowly, "I'm fine." The combat crew quickly approached and surrounded him. The other crew members rushed to various places. The helmsman and the artilleryman performed their duties and entered the battle state at the fastest speed. It's Marine. A pirate on the main mast saw the huge warship in the distance through the monocular, and then his pupils shrank suddenly, exclaiming, "No, it's Blackbeard Teach." Everyone who heard the voice was shocked. As the captain, Bramenk had a serious expression, and there was even a hint of excitement in his eyes. Hee, the traitor that Ace can't solve, it seems that I have to do it. Everyone, get ready for battle, we are going to solve this traitor for the 2nd Division. Bramenk will take out another giant hammer from his chin, full of fighting spirit. Blackbeard looked at the scene of Bramenk and the cannonball, sneered, and ordered to speed up going. As time passed, one big and one small, the two ships approached rapidly. It is worth mentioning that the warship that Blackbeard was on was a huge warship used when the Buster Call was dispatched. It was about the same size as Whitebeard's Moby Dick, but the 4 outer ships of Moby Dick were smaller than this warship. A circle. The two ships collided, and the Blackbeards took the lead to jump off the warship and landed in front of Bramenk. Gia. Blackbeard looked at the familiar person in front of him and let out a strange smile. The right arm stretched out, and a black airflow appeared in the palm of the hand, and it quickly rotated. Dark water. The speed of Bramenk, who was rushing at extreme speed, added another point, and the smirk on Blackbeard's face became more and more brilliant. The plump figure seemed to be out of control, but in fact, just before Blackbeard's right hand, he slammed the 2 giant hammers dragged behind him, and quickly smashed it towards the traitor who killed his companions. The smile on Blackbeard's face suddenly froze, and his pupils shrank rapidly. There are plenty of nimble fat guys, but Blackbeard is clearly not one of them. Just when the 2 huge wooden mallets were about to hit Teach, a very strong figure fell from the sky and landed behind Blackbeard. The 2 muscular arms stretched out flat against the giant hammer that was attacking Blackbeard. The wooden hammer collided with the flesh palm, and there were 2 dull sounds. Hey, well done, badgers. Blackbeard's smile instantly turned hideous and terrifying. The suction of the dark water suddenly increased, Bramenki's body froze, and his fat belly instantly fit into Blackbeard's palm. Severe pain came along with a sense of powerlessness. Bramenki's eyes turned white, and a sense of dizziness filled his entire mind. The giant hammer let go, and fell heavily on the ground. Captain! The crew members were stunned and charged with weapons. Boom! A loud bang, Shiryu, figure fell from the sky and smashed heavily in front of the crew, and an invisible murderous aura instantly filled him. The figure of the crowd rushed forward for a moment, and a trace of fear flashed in their eyes. Shiryu grinned, and the thunderstorm came out of its sheath instantly. There was a strange red light on the blade, and with a strong wave, an unstoppable red blade slashed towards the horrified pirates. After half an hour, the 6th Division of the Whitebeard pirates, including the captain, did not survive. Blackbeard stood on the warship with a wicked smile, holding a brand new devil fruit in his hand. The Moby Dick ship was taken as a trophy and given to the original helmsman, Giza's Badgers. Since then, the first foreign captain of the Blackbeard pirates was born.